Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Over to Fleury. He'll shoot it, and that is blocked. Picked up by Appleton. Mason Appleton to the middle. His shot scores!
Passes back to Carlson. Snap shot to front. Did they score? The Penguins come all the way back. Ricard Raquel.
Williams knocks that down, so they get over the 80-point mark, and now the Bucks will dribble it out. The turnaround continues. The rejuvenated Bucks, 13-3 in their last 16 games, will win the second annual NBA Cup.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. What's going on, DB?
Hi.
How are you this morning?
I'm okay.
We doing all right?
We're making it.
We're making it?
Yeah, we're not too bad.
You're gonna
My back is literally shot though.
What happened now? What happened this time?
Oh, I mean, it's just bad. It's bad.
You should go see one of those chiropractors we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Still mad at Carolina for selling last night.
Yeah.
Not happy.
What happened?
Oh, I mean, they storm back from 17 down. They take the lead by 4.
And they had the lead for a little while too.
It's 83-79,
Yeah.
feeling decent. Can't rebound the basketball.
That's an important part of the game.
Florida's got 55 offensive rebounds, and I think 255. And it's a good foul shooting team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So took that one on the chin. I watched a little bit of the Bucks, who, man, Doc Rivers has like 27 lives. Because now this dude's won like 13 out of 16 after going 2-9 to start the season.
And being bad when he took over last
I
year.
was just wondering if he was going to make it to Christmas. Now he gets all Mariah Carey's songs and stuff.
All he wants for Christmas is you?
That's no big deal.
To win a lot of games in a row. So he's going to get his gift. Appreciate you extrapolating in your mind there. And that's about it.
That's about it?
Yeah.
How you feeling about old Hubert Davis these days?
I don't like Hubert Davis.
Yeah?
But I haven't liked Hubert. Again, short of an unbelievable run, just not very good.
Yeah.
Not very
Probably need to figure that out down there.
good. Yeah, but he's Hubert Davis, so he could win just enough. I mean, he's not quite Doherty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see.
I don't know that they are winning just enough, though. I mean, 6-5, like that's
Yeah,
a
but
little rough.
I know, but if we just watching them, like it's not really 6-5, but it is 6-5.
Yeah.
He's just not going to win close games. He just doesn't. So that's been under his tenure.
Yeah.
That's not even anecdotal. I mean, that's pretty.
Well, you've also got, was it last year they were preseason number 1?
No.
2 years ago? 2 years
Yeah,
ago. They were preseason number 1 when Baycott came back, and that was a tough look.
Very much so.
That whole season was kind of a tough look.
Why are you bringing up old stuff?
No, listen,
What
I'm
do you
just
cheer for in college basketball other than Creighton?
No, I like North Carolina.
No, you don't know.
I do. I'm a Jordan guy. I like North Carolina.
You can't dabble in North Carolina.
I can't dabble.
Fudge.
Why not?
I don't want to go all gatekeepy this morning.
You're feeling very soccer fan this morning.
Yeah.
Like you can't just dabble in the Premier League, DB.
Selfish.
What do you mean you're sort of a Tottenham fan?
Yeah, I know, right? I don't want to gate. So there's
Either you're in on Aston Villa
that's
or
super-
you're not.
That's super popular to gatekeep, right? Soccer. What else? Restaurants.
Music's
Music's big.
music and movies are real big.
People gatekeep movies.
Oh yeah. Like independent movies. You're like, oh, have you seen
IDC, huh?
Yeah, have you seen his other work? It's like, I know that you're a big Christopher Nolan Batman fan, but have you seen Memento? Have you seen his student film?
Why are you? Whose delivery is that?
It's the Gatekeepers.
Wow. Well, that's kind of different.
I know you like that song that's on the radio, but have you heard the B-sides?
Oh, I could definitely hear. I get you with music. That is a total music.
I saw them at an 18-person venue back in 1993.
Holy smokes. You know what's funny?
Yeah, so don't gatekeep North Carolina. I'll sit here and talk to you about Ed Cota and Antoine Jameson and Rashad McCants and Wayne Ellington and Ty Lawson and Raymond Felton.
I like that.
I like my guys.
What about Pete Chilcutt?
Nah, it's a little farther back for me.
Deep cut.
I don't. Ed Cota's like the 97, 98, like Ed Cota, Vince Carter, Shawad Williams, Antoine Jameson team. Like that's where I started. Was kind of that.
Mokhtar and Jai.
Why is that all you got to be about NJs?
Well, he's actually African, but carry on. Wow. T'Challa.
How in that?
Wow. It's awful early for that.
More of a T'Chaka guy myself. But big Brennan Haywood guy, you know? No?
Yeah, so it's funny. There's a lot of Carolinians from a long, long time.
Yeah.
I just have never liked. I was never even a Hansbrough fan.
Yeah, he didn't fit my eye stylistically.
Yeah, I was.
But you appreciate the talent. I was a big Sean May guy. I like Sean May.
I was hit and miss.
Yeah.
There's a couple of like low-key guys that I like that.
You hated Joe Forte.
Yes.
I knew that one.
I did.
Trying to think.
You didn't remember King Rice. I didn't like King Rice.
No. King Rice is a little early for me.
King Rice was this guard from the Northeast that was supposed to be fantastic.
Yeah. Didn't do it?
That's back when you could play the point and not be able to shoot.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So
that killed many a point guard.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know. And he was coming out. I don't want to do too much, but just a lot of hoopla.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of hoopla.
Was he one of those? Did he get the like New York City point guard label?
Yeah.
Because that's a big thing. He's one of those New York City point guards.
Certainly wasn't like Kenny Anderson.
Yeah. You got your like
or Fat Lever or any of these guys.
Your what's his name? The old Mark Jackson, like your Mark Jacksons. The last one was like Sebastian.
What is Mark Jackson doing?
Is he coaching somewhere? Not like obviously in the NBA, but I thought he maybe got a job.
Oh. So gatekeep the whole gatekeeping thing. I'm not really gatekeeping Carolina, but you hammer them all the time. I talk about them, and you can't just low key slide in like I like Carolina.
I hammer them because I wish they were better.
It's not.
I liked Roy Williams a lot. I was a big Roy Williams guy.
That's some stuff Jay would say.
What?
Well, I'm mean to you because I like you. No, you're just mean.
Oh, super happy.
Boy, she's something else.
No, part of the reason I hammer him a little bit is I was mad that they just sort of handed it to Hubert Davis. Like that's a job you can get.
That's what they do.
I know, but it's dumb.
They hand it to Guthrie. They hand it to Doherty.
And it's dumb. How often has that worked?
That it's dumb. Well, he got outcoached last night.
When you just hand it over, like the one time they went and got somebody, Roy Williams, it worked out really well.
Still a Carolinian.
Yeah, he'd been at Kansas for 20 years.
But still.
It's not like he was on staff when they handed him the job.
He must have hit the fountain of youth. Roy looked a little younger last night than he did the last handful of years.
Well, I mean, when you're not dealing...
Just traveling in his RV?
Yeah, when you're not dealing with all the headaches of...
What else do people gatekeep?
Soccer's the big one in sports.
I still think food is up there.
Oh, food is 100% up there. 100%.
Because haven't you heard...
Sounds about right.
Haven't you heard the scuttlebutt with the revenue generator in Kansas City?
Mm-mm.
Like the eating establishments?
Oh, no, I haven't heard. What's going on?
You'll give me my group text strand?
Also, what'd you do?
I couldn't remember where I put my phone. So they're just tossing around like a couple of guys have booked hotels already.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Some guys got a block from like, Wednesday to Saturday or Thursday to whatever. And they're going through barbecue spots. And I made the mistake. Because for a guy that is not from Kansas City, I have been in Kansas City a fair, easily 8, 9, 10 times a year.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's guaranteed to be 4 basketball tournaments.
I'll say AAU
2
stuff?
kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so fairly familiar. Got my favorite, liquor spot, favorite hotel, my favorite bulk bin candy plate, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I made the mistake. I'm like, yeah, I got a guy, KC guy from Omaha. Give me a couple good recommendations, because you get the little trendy spots, and it's like not really a chain guy, and I get the eye roll emoji. I'm just like, there's just better places. Like, I like some of the places that were being recommended, but it's fine. Like, you can go to some off the beaten path. Are you gatekeeping the restaurants in Kansas City?
Are you?
I said, no, man. It's like these guys that own the Char Bar have another barbecue spot. It's a little knockoff spot that not a lot of people know about. Oh, man, you'd have thought I said Muammar Gaddafi was a good dude or something. And it was just like, I don't even know why I used it.
Where was that?
I don't know. I don't even know why I said him.
That's
Why?
That's a random one.
Yeah, that was kind of dumb. But you know what? That's me in a nutshell. I have no idea why I just pulled that.
Sometimes I can follow the train of thought, and
Why did I use Muammar?
Yeah,
I don't know.
There?
I don't know. So, I mean, we're on that for a second. And Fudge, I'm not going to be there very long. This is a quick turnaround for your boy.
Yeah.
I got to work. Right?
Yeah, because you guys won't be down there much ahead of time, right?
Quick turnaround.
Because it's a quick trip.
Yes.
Yeah. Be like the Iowa City trip, even a little shorter than that, though.
Yep.
Don't be long.
100%. So,
you'll still fly that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a 30-minute flight.
Trust me.
You don't even get to altitude. Boop, boop.
This dude hates to fly. You think we're busing anywhere?
He hates to fly or hates to drive?
It's just, it can't be efficient enough for him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's about as I can't wait to see this bowl thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if people got to check on some little bigger, they probably have this thing tailored like a fine suit.
Down to a science.
To the millisecond. We watch. I still haven't seen the itinerary.
When are you guys leaving,
23rd.
No, but like what time?
So I asked my man, Mr. Bowling.
Mr. Bojangles?
No, Thomas does a lot of he does all of the information with staff. It has not been, I'm going to double check. They were still doing a practice schedule. Last time I checked, there has not been an update yet.
On time?
He said the best that I can tell you right now is that we're leaving before noon. That's for sure. Finalizing Nebraska's practice schedule.
There you go.
So basically I just know I'm leaving on the 23rd. I don't know what time.
That's all right.
It's fine.
We'll figure it out.
So we're not gonna. I'm not even gonna get.
That's fine.
I'm not getting involved in anything. Everybody just. I think gatekeeping is a thing. That.
Oh, it's definitely a thing.
I'm hoping to not have to leave the hotel too much in New York.
Sounds about right.
Well, I don't know how. I haven't been to a bowl game in so long, but when we used to do it, they have like rooms and stuff, like game rooms and hospitality rooms.
Oh, so you kind of got everything
so,
sort of.
Yeah. No, I mean, you'll do the, Staten Island Ferry and go see the.
Oh, so you're gonna do all
lady holding the flame and.
I believe it's called the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. It escaped me for a second. I just drew a blank there.
So Gaddafi's right on the tip of the tongue.
Statue of
Liberty
was not. Yeah. So
you gotta do like Times Square. I
wonder what they'll make the players do.
Yeah, like for activities.
Yeah, because I had a roommate that slept through a lot of the activities.
Yeah.
Yes, but he was really, really good, and he was best well rested. So, kind of just let him skip team dinners and SeaWorld and stuff like that.
Yeah,
even that wasn't really called SeaWorld. Does this dude not know I'm working?
Who? Probably. He should.
It makes me think it's important. I hope nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
It is not optional.
I mean, you can take it if you need to.
No, he should be on his way to school.
I mean, you do call people during breaks sometimes, so maybe he thinks.
What's that?
He's listening to the radio. He's still mad we didn't talk about the Heisman.
What about it?
Oh, he's just mad that Travis Hunter won. I told him, I said it's like politics. He didn't win the popular election. So it wasn't as much of a landslide as you think.
Yeah. Well,
although I was surprised to see the outward or hear the outward pushback from Janty himself.
Yeah, I was too. Usually.
Oh, guess what he asked me?
What's that?
Can I have that Taco John's burrito? If it has just been a few days, I don't know if you wanted it.
Dude.
I'm going to say, sure, knock yourself out.
Dude, it's been – no, don't eat it, man.
What? He's a lot like me.
Yeah, I've noticed.
No.
I said, sure, knock yourself out. At least he called to ask. Normally he just eats that stuff.
It's true. Maybe he learned from getting roasted about the what was it that he ate when you were the
breakfast sandwich.
The breakfast sandwich from here, yeah.
Yeah, I got a breakfast sandwich you can have.
I wouldn't. I'm good. I bought that for you, so you just keep that.
Hello?
Somebody at the door? If you did that, my dogs are around. They'd freak out because they thought somebody was knocking.
So here's the beautiful thing about as I bounce around back to the restaurants in KC.
Yeah.
You know the beautiful thing about that?
What's that?
That's like 7.5 home games for Nebraska.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That is good.
Although Cincinnati's going to make out like a bandit, but Nebraska gets money they ordinarily wouldn't get.
Yeah, because that's a 75-25?
Yeah.
They're splitting?
Yeah.
Which normally they would get nothing from that.
Yep.
And it's a much less – I mean, it's much less like a road game than it would be at just straight up
how
Cincinnati.
much they could make. A couple mil maybe?
Yeah, I don't know.
1.5?
I know –
One for sure.
Nebraska?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're saying the gross would be 4 at that point and they'd get 1. Yeah, I mean probably. I don't know what
It'll be more than that.
I would think so. I know they used to say, I don't know what it is for
Well,
football.
Cincinnati got guaranteed 2.5.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah, so you got to figure they're thinking they're going to make at least 4 to make that make sense.
I'll take that.
Yeah, it's extra $1 million in the pocket. Why not?
And it's quick too.
That's 5%
take
of
it.
your it's 5% of your revenue share money for the next year.
Yeah, because that's the only road game in the first 5.
Yeah, the next 4 are all true home.
It's good for the old schedule.
We like schedule talk.
Yeah. No, not that schedule. My schedule. No, we don't like schedule talk. We don't like schedule talk at all.
It is good for your schedule. You got a little.
Can we figure out why we've been talking about December needing to change for like 3 years and December still hasn't changed?
You mean the schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden college coaches.
And they've now they've convoluted it with the portal.
Yeah.
But this is like, this didn't just sneak up this year. The whole Prabula thing is like, that's not, you guys had a chance to fix this.
100%.
You clearly had a chance to fix this.
They had a chance to fix everything. They chose not to because that's kind of what college sports does. But I will say, I don't know. I do think, I don't know. DB just got distracted by what's on the NFL Network. Somebody's dancing. You're a big Cardinals guy, though, so you should be vibing with that.
I'm a big Murray.
Yeah, he plays for the Cardinals.
Doesn't make me a Cardinals fan.
You sure?
I like Buda Baker, too.
Yeah, he just got paid.
So he went from being on the move to signing a 3-year extension. It's weird how that works.
Dude, the NFL's weird.
I love the NFL.
The personnel movement's weird sometimes, though. But here's the problem is everybody finally decided, okay, we don't like the transfer portal during bowl season and during the playoffs, right? Everybody just all of a sudden this year, they just realized this is a problem. And here's the real problem is because they don't want to treat them like employees, they still have to pretend they're students first.
Well, you do have to enroll.
I get that. But because they refuse to acknowledge them as employees first, right? They are beholden to the school schedule. That's why the transfer portal's right now, because it's after first semester, before second semester. That's why this window's open.
You're gonna have to change it.
That's fine.
You just do.
But then you're going to have to compromise the school part of the equation.
Yeah.
Which I think everybody outside is okay with because we understand what we're looking at. But these coaches that are acting like, well, it's got to change. It's got to change. It's like, hey, like you're so close to saying
maybe you make it like high school.
How so?
Where if you can move, but you have to sit at least for a second. Or
no, I mean, we just came off of that.
No, so let's say
you're talking like 90 days or something.
Yeah.
So you miss spring ball. You don't miss spring ball.
Yeah. Or you can wait and enroll in the summer or in the spring and be good to go.
Why? I mean, so you're more educationally inclined than I am in terms of.
I don't care about the education at all.
No, I get that.
And it's not that I don't, because I don't. I don't because
they don't.
Yeah, and it's weird to have that be the only time that school actually matters.
I'm just saying that's
that's backwards, right?
Right, but that's the whole reason the timing is the way it is.
Well aware, bud. Thought about this a long time.
So is there? So my question is though,
you can only enroll in spring.
is there a way to enroll mid-semester and have it be okay?
That's what you're going to have to do.
Because you can wait, say, hey, we open the portal January 15th or after the final, right? And then it's open until February 1st.
Yeah, just go. How many days are there in December? So it's the 9th from the what?
28th.
Okay, so that's
19 days.
Right. Just do January 3rd to the 22nd and give a grace period for enrollment.
And honestly, for most schools,
it's like a 10-day grace window.
Well, and for,
if you're really, if your admissions department is really gonna hold you to it that you're enrolled, let's give a verbal.
It's a verbal enrollment.
People tamper anyway. Send a DM.
It's a verbal enrollment.
Hey, I'm coming. Hold my spot.
Well, if you think about it, though, so most schools, most colleges, I think, at least it used to be this way, they don't really start back up until mid-January anyway, right?
DB just really say the lady holding the flame. Yes, it was easy.
Statue of Liberty is what more commonly known as.
Relax.
But you're not inaccurate. It was an accurate description. It's true.
You knew what I meant.
I did. Cleaned it up for the listeners that may not have.
J Swizzle Sticks.
It's like Funky Giblets.
Dude, danger. We got some names.
Yeah, we do. But like most colleges don't start enrollment until don't start actual classes until about mid-January anyway, right?
I know. That's what I'm saying.
So you're off from like mid-December to mid-January. Yeah. You're off almost a full month, basically. So if you close that portal on the third week of January, you're a week late for classes? Yeah. So just make it work out, guys. Yeah, you don't do anything that first week anyway.
Then you don't have to worry about. I mean, who's West Virginia? West Virginia was missing their freshman of the conference at linebacker, and the Penn State deal is well documented.
I mean, Marshall had to drop out of their bowl game.
That's Marshall's fault, though.
Yeah, it is.
So can we just talk about that?
I would love to. It was on the rundown all last week.
That's Marshall's fault.
Yeah, they're dumb. They botched the Charlie Huff situation.
That is absolutely their fault. So
horribly.
Don't be those people. Oh man, this Marshall. No man, Marshall mishandled that.
100%.
That wasn't due to some unforeseen circumstances.
No, they bungled it.
You treated your coach poorly.
Yeah.
And your players let you know we're not riding with you.
Yeah. They let his contract expire.
Yeah. So
which never happens in college sports.
Well, I mean, what happened to Marshall? No, Marshall happened to Marshall.
I understand that, but again, the portal transfer window impacted that too. Now you might have those guys just sit out.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that's entirely possible with that situation. But if the portal window's later, maybe they play the bowl game and then they leave. I don't know.
Who's coaching it? Somebody? They'll get somebody,
huh? I'm guessing maybe they got the new guy in already.
You want to do second quarter interview with Rich Rod?
Just have him up in the booth?
Man. Should have been down there coaching. Although he couldn't help him on defense.
Yeah. It's a little weird. It is a little awkward when you've got the new coach watching his team play. That dynamic is always strange to me.
So who was it last year that was actually patrolling the sidelines but not coaching?
It was a bigger one, wasn't it?
That's happened a couple of times.
Yeah, it's super strange. I think it happened with Urban Meyer a few years back too when he took the Ohio State job. He was in the booth still.
Yeah, Urbanomics.
Doing stuff. I was like, Urban, this is pretty strange. You were just recruiting for them 10 seconds ago.
How about Branch Portland?
We can talk about that.
That dude is never happy.
That dude's never happy, but I'm not sure I'd be happy with Lincoln Riley either.
We wouldn't let him come to the Jet Awards, so Matt and Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, so bleep Lincoln Riley.
Spring bowl, man. That's important time.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla, more Hurrdat Sports Radio. Coming up next.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We were talking about a little portaling from USC, your second favorite football team.
Not true.
Is that all right?
Sure. I'll take that.
I'll take
that.
It's in the neighborhood, right?
I'll take that.
Zachariah and his brother Zion Branch entering the transfer portal from USC. Zachariah, your 2023 Jet Award winner.
Jet Award, baby.
Who was unfortunately not allowed to attend the ceremony. Thanks a lot, Lincoln.
It was kind of weird.
Thanks a lot, Lincoln Riley. But
during spring ball, it's a busy time of the year. That's what he told Seviere.
Everybody else was there.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
I think that's right.
Yeah, that's how I would have pronounced it.
Seviere.
Severe sounds so
severe.
I was gonna say harsh. I'm over you already.
What'd I do?
I think it started with Muammar Gaddafi.
You started it with Gaddafi.
Again, not sure.
No,
somehow the Mokhtar Njai.
It started with Njai is where it started.
What are you gonna be about the Indians? It's not. He's African.
No, I said about the Njais. You made an assumption about Indians.
I was assuming. You're right. You're right. Eric hit me with some Benningisms. I do have a few of those.
A couple.
Yeah.
Gotta.
But how about my guy? How about the DM yesterday though?
Which one?
That guy made my day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, first of all, he warmed my heart, the cockles, if you will. Google that. That's those toll chambers things. You know, those valves.
Yeah.
That's where that.
What is a heart cockle? Anyway, continue.
He touched it. He touched it.
You Google like my 6-year-old. She's a better typer than that.
You know what's funny is I'm so good on the phone.
I know.
I'm terrible on the keyboard.
It's maddening to even watch.
I'm a product of my upbringing.
He got my attention was sending me the picture of the dude eating the steak out of the Ziploc baggie.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was
really
I keep
funny.
telling you, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it was funny though.
Leftover steak is not meant to be reheated.
There you go. Third time's the charm.
All right.
It's not meant to be reheated. 100%.
Like in
Shane, cut it.
In the Ziploc bag right now, I cut up some leftover steak that I got from that Platteview speaking engagement from Thursday night. And occasionally I just eat a strip. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That guy was what did he say? He was eating it like a Hot Pocket?
Yeah.
That was funny. But then he liked the whole, speaking of the Benningisms things, the and versus the but versus and. When you're having conversations, like the importance of it.
Yep.
Such and such. But that's when people say that, they're not listening. They're absolutely not listening.
Yeah.
But when they say and, they've acknowledged that they've. I just tell what I want to tell them is stay away from the people that their immediate initial response is me too. No, I'm serious. If there's like,
in what sense?
Like,
give me an example.
So, like, if I'm saying, Coach Rule he's talking to the players and he's like, hey, listen, these long hours, we've got to make sure we do this and this. I want to be efficient with my time, our time, with the work schedule and the players' first response is, well, us too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, they're not absorbed. They're not processing the information relative to how it relates to anybody else. It's only through their prism.
Yeah. It's a selfish viewpoint.
So the more people do that, the more they're not listening.
Yeah.
Like, be careful with that.
Right.
But anyway, the Statue of Liberty thing, it seemed like it just seemed easier to say the lady holding the. Okay.
Why?
Can you at least wait for me to finish before you laugh?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
It seemed easier to say the lady holding the flame.
Yes.
Was there a follow-up to that?
Than the Statue of Liberty. That's not really a Benningism. It's just one more dumb thing that I've said.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that a Benningism. I feel like you have to say it a couple times.
Yeah, but next time, believe me, I will say
the lady holding the flame.
No, I'm gonna say Statue of Liberty.
Oh, like the Calgary Flames?
It's Calgary. Wow.
I thought it was Calgary.
No.
Like a tandoori?
Steven asked me how I feel about leftover pizza. I don't even like pizza.
Yeah, DB doesn't eat pizza.
But what I will
hard.
What I will do. What's up, Maddie? What I will do is I will tear the top off of day old,
like the toppings.
Yeah,
the cheese and.
So Gavin Felix at Nebraska Public Media always gives the hosts a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here, just take it, guys. Me, Jay Moore, Gas Can, all the guys. So he gets me it took 4 years to get thin crust, number one. So good on him because now he does it all the time.
I'm a big thin crust guy.
Thin crust meat lovers.
Yeah. So you just tear the toppings off and.
I will keep that. It probably drives my family crazy. I will keep that pizza box a week. And guess where I store it?
In the microwave?
Too big.
Oven.
Yes.
Put it in the fridge, man.
No, you put it in the fridge.
There's tomato sauce on there. You're going to get botulism.
There's very little sauce. You can't get botulism from sitting tomato sauce.
That's literally how you get botulism.
You know how long that would take?
That's literally how you get botulism.
But do you know how long that process would
I don't know how long it would take.
So anyway, I've eaten the tops off of. Yeah, pizza's fine.
Numerous pizzas.
Cold pizza's way better than warm pizza.
Yeah.
Pizza's not good.
Tell that to your friend.
Yeah, I think he wants to fight me.
Did you not show up again last week?
No, I said hello.
Okay.
I talked to him, but he's just venting.
Do you think Coach Rule?
I think he wanted me to help him with the deliveries, and sometimes I do.
Yeah.
And I for sure always help load him up.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything this time.
Do you think Coach Rule would get mad if I called him Maddie the same way Vers did?
No, but Coach, I would not call. There's only one Maddie, and it's usually Verzal, so I shouldn't have said Maddie.
Yeah. You think I could call him Maddie though?
Probably not.
Rule, not Vers.
No.
No. All right. Well,
No.
it's all right. We'll figure it out.
No.
I don't think that will fly.
We'll figure out a best friend's nickname. It's fine.
Kind of vibing with Kobe. The crust is terrible. Just get some saltines, pizza sauce, and toppings if you want that. Strong opinions, Kobe. Shocker.
I love a thin crust. Big thin crust guy.
So back in the day, I used to eat lavash.
Back in the day. Oh yeah.
So when everybody was going to what's the popular place in Lincoln? I used to think it was fine dining when you were in school. Laszlo's.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't eating ribs then and some of the other stuff that they're kind of known for. Because I didn't eat ribs until I was like 42 or 3.
Really?
Maybe. Yeah, just not a rib guy.
All right.
I don't like sauce. So I had to get older before I could learn how to
Cook it without
that.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so I would get their lavash.
Yeah, lavash isn't bad. It's a little too crackery for me.
That's what Kobe's talking about.
Yeah, it's a little too crackery for me. I like more of a traditional like crust, even though it's like a thin crispy.
I did.
But there is a difference between a thin crispy and a lavash.
Because what's his buckets? Who's by the way is always super snarky, but he's funny on Twitter. I think it was it Drew? It was somebody that was talking about how he's worried about me getting food poisoning. I did throw out that old fried chicken.
That's good.
It's officially in the trash.
That's for the best. I do also like New York style, kind of the floppy thin crust a little bit. Like Vers has a New York style.
I see a guy that does food reviews on TikTok.
Yeah.
He goes, trying bleep so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Day such and such. It's like, and he always does this thing where he goes, and it drives me crazy, and I have to like try to hurry through it. But he's a big crust connoisseur.
Yeah.
So he'll do like the topping consistency versus the pizza.
You know, you don't have to watch videos of people that bother you. You can just skip right by them. You just scroll right past. Like if he does this thing every time that you really don't like, just
you don't know if he's always gonna go if he doesn't like it.
Just keep on.
Yeah.
Keep
So
on
it's like
trucking.
a crapshoot, Ravi.
So you
Part of the allure is not knowing what you're gonna get.
is not knowing if he's going to do the thing that you hate.
It's an unbelievable surprise.
It from my research, it looks like the cockles are not a real part of a human heart.
No,
It looks like it's a seashell that is shaped like a heart.
I thought those were conchs, as in fritters.
Conch is just a different type of shell. They're more like bulbular.
Oh gosh. Dude said Ferris Bueller. It's too early for that.
Nobody said Bueller. Who? Bulbular.
He's had some.
Are you
wow
trying to say
moments.
bulbular?
That's what I said.
No, you said Bo Bueller, like it was first name, last
I
name.
said bulbular.
That's not what you said. You said Bo Bueller.
No, I didn't.
What does bolstered mean?
Hold on. Bulbu.
We're gonna get chastised.
No, I think it's fine. I think it'll be all right.
To read Hot Dangers, don't say that word out loud though. Just read.
Bulbular?
No, just read the comments.
Oh, T-Mac, I have been there for pizza. It's good. I agree.
I'm not going to New York for pizza.
No,
Rest assured, I won't have a slice.
that's a place in Omaha.
Oh, all right.
It's just that style of pizza.
Eric, no. The answer is no. Pineapple belongs nowhere near.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Although, if you feed your dogs pineapple, they won't eat their own poop. True story. We'll be back more Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, wrapping up hour number 1. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, as well as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We've got you covered wherever you may be listening. We appreciate you. DB, I'm going to set up the show real quick before we get back into nonsense. Is that okay? You're making weird faces. I'm going to look straight ahead here. At 8 o'clock, we got our guy, Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7.
No, it was what popped into my head.
At 9, we've got our guy, Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. And at 9:45, a little different time slot, but a regular Wednesday guest, Andy Kendeigh from KETV.
What happened to AK, Shane?
Yeah, why'd he move on us?
He has a shoot at 8:30.
A shoot?
Yeah.
Let's see. What could? Oh, you know what? I bet it's something to do with Louisville.
Is he? You think he's in Louisville?
Oh, I think he's gonna be.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe he's wrapping up a little prepackage, a little something.
Yeah, that place is gonna be a circus.
Oh yeah, we got.
I've never been to Louisville. I don't think.
I haven't either.
Have I been to Louisville?
I'm pretty sure I haven't.
No, I haven't.
But
that would be incredible. And why? So
I don't think
okay,
I've been to Kentucky at all.
I gotta spit this out.
Yeah, go
you know,
ahead.
I'm usually vibing. I'm vouching for Kobe.
Yeah,
he's back in the doghouse.
What'd Kobe do?
I'm usually protecting him. He's out today.
Yeah.
He says my food takes are awful.
I don't know that they're awful. I worry about your food safety.
That's fine. Would you like to relay the information of our listeners to what Breeze just said on the phone?
He said that the Taco John's that was sitting out for a very long time.
It's not okay. That's not what he said.
I'm giving you context. So he said the Taco John's, that's Breeze. Then my commentary, that was sitting out a very long time.
God, I can't.
And then back to Breeze. He said is actually really good.
Yeah. He said it was way good.
Yeah, way good. Sorry, way good. Not really good.
Yeah, like I said. You guys just you hate for no reason.
No, I wasn't worried about the flavor. I'm worried about the time and temperature.
It's fine
for food safety.
All the bacteria that had grown in the scrambled eggs in there was.
I'm gonna have Natasha put you guys through like a food safety course.
So her delivery is a little terse, so I don't know if I want that.
That's because because she probably give you a little quiz, be like, okay, DB, after
I love how you do this gentle voice. That's not her delivery.
No, that's how she would start. She'd be like, okay, DB, from what we've learned today.
Wow.
After,
so she talked to me like I was 4'2". That's incredible.
Given the context of what she knows about your food safety, yeah, probably.
So if and for the record, let's just get this out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
If I could cover up the space, I would get rid of the microwave. I don't need the microwave. I don't use the microwave.
Right. You just use it for storage.
People use it to like warm up soups and coffees and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's it. And I don't eat any.
You're not
of
a big soup guy
or coffee. So like that's cool.
I've been vibing on some egg drop soup recently. I like egg drop soup.
Smells like trash. By the way, for the bowl game with guys going, I forgot before I said this. So I do think Nebraska is doing this thing because now I know how their practice schedule is being set up and how it's being ran. Mm-hmm. They could do anything with anybody that's on campus for the most part. It's almost a free for all.
Like they could play if they wanted.
Yeah.
So like if Cade Vermoss, for instance.
Yeah, but no.
I know he's not going
to.
Yes.
For instance.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Not saying he's going to.
For instance.
But if they're like, hey, you've been practicing, you're enrolled, go play special teams.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Or go.
You will see some differences in special teams.
So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to see any Indian enrollees play?
No.
Okay. They could though.
They're not ready.
But technically they could.
Yeah. Somebody would get hurt.
Sure, yeah. You don't want that to happen.
Somebody would get hurt.
It is wild that it's even possible.
You haven't even really had the rigor.
No, I know. But like it's wild that it's even a thing that could happen.
So
theoretically.
Were you surprised that Lacey committed so soon?
I guess a little.
And that's totally fine.
But I do wonder, usually the later somebody hops in, the more in my head I think they've already got a destination in mind.
Which is why Branch has the do not
contact tag.
Yeah. That's funny. We say tag. Is tag the proper term, or is that just like a game of telephone where we just spread it?
I think it's called tag because when you look at the actual portal, which
I don't.
No one that isn't like a coach is supposed to have access to it. But it's basically.
Are you sure?
That's not supposed to have access to it.
Let's just act like that wasn't on air.
So you've got the names. It's like a database.
Oh my gosh, Travis!
They put it as a tag. What's up? What did Travis do?
Oh, I thought he was saying I have kid food takes. I don't.
No.
I love kids.
You do love kids.
Actually, I do. It's unfortunate.
Oh, it's part of your personality. You like kids. That's great. You care about the future of children.
I still am all in on. I'm still all in on Nebraska's running backs room.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all.
And you know what else?
I still think it's only fine. I don't know what Jamarian Parker is, but
do you? If he's healthy,
yeah,
he's gonna be good.
Yeah. So I haven't seen him yet, but I trust you. But in terms of, I don't think it's that much different losing a Dowdell than it is.
So remember, 4 years ago, we were wondering if we should have 6 scholarship running backs in a room, and if that was too many.
Mm-hmm.
That was a real hot topic.
You want 4?
5 for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, apparently running backs are hard to keep happy too. They may be a lot like quarterbacks.
Little diva-y.
Really?
I didn't mean you specifically.
Anyway, this is what I hope happens in the portal.
Yeah.
And I said this from day one, so this is not revisionist history. Because this is the way this totally fits my personality.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I'm the type of guy that even if I make a bad choice, it's probably not spontaneous. Like I've probably thought about it and I've weighed the repercussions.
And you're okay with the consequences.
And I'm willing to deal with the consequences. Yeah. That's how I feel like the portal should be. So, like if you want to hop in and it's busy and you see all these guys, like just peruse.
Mm-hmm. Well, I look at
a lot of these guys don't have places to go.
Yeah.
And so they take bad advice. And some of these guys are listening in Lincoln. which really pisses me off, are listening to guys that are close to the program. Allegedly. The whole sheep and the wolves closing and the hen house and whatever bad analogy you can think of. They need to tighten that up too. But anyway, if I'm Nebraska and I said, listen, the portal giveth and it taketh away, you'll learn to manage it.
Mm-hmm.
You will. You're like, okay, cool. You got freedom of movement. You also have you also have the ability to be told no too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's always a two-way street. It just fits my personality. So the longer that these guys, I'm not going to say get stuck, but that aren't it's not as rainbows and butterflies, right? When it really gets down to it, because you're starting to hear these stories. Well, they didn't follow through on their NIL, or they never got paid, or see, that's what happens. And remember, they're not really like contracts per se, unless you're legit.
Yeah, like really, really good. And
getting it in writing. They're like these handshake agreements. So I'm okay with Nebraska and schools just being like, no, don't come back. Don't. And this is the same thing that I said about in-state guys, but I'll say it over.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an in-state guy and you say no to the state school, they can wish you the best and cheer for you. But if you want to come back, it better be for something good, right? I don't have any problem. Like that's how I think, right? Same as if you're Dowdell or some of these guys and you want to hop in the portal and you were good a week ago and now you're really not, and you keep listening to this, that, and the other. Hypothetically, you get what comes with that.
Yeah.
Right? You don't get the chance to what does DJ always tell me? You don't get this life without him in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's just part of the deal. So guys that want to come back, and I'm looking at that running back room, and I'm like, okay, I got EJ, I got Mekhi Nelson, I'm going to have Parker. I'm probably forgetting one. Anyway,
Booth will be coming in. I don't think people
Booth,
think he's ready. But.
So you know what is ready about Booth, and maybe you are or aren't enamored with his ability. You know what I am enamored with? You don't have to babysit him.
Sure.
So like whatever that guy's gonna do, you don't have to tell him twice.
And I have no idea if he's ready or not. To be fair, I don't.
So like I like that room. Mm-hmm. You know, I like Nelson before the world even knew he existed.
Nelson all year.
So
early.
I'm okay with that room right now. And
they'll probably go get another guy.
This is terrible.
They'll probably go get another guy.
A running back.
Yeah.
But you could always go get one.
Well, especially this year.
Knock it off.
No, I'm serious.
What?
We just talked about there's going to be guys left out in the cold.
Yeah.
So just go
get it. Do you want a left out in the cold running back?
If you're just looking for depth, and let's be clear here.
What running backs? Listen,
hold on. Let's be clear here. There's going to be some good players left out in the cold.
Yeah, 100%
this year. So there's nothing wrong with getting a left out in the cold guy.
Yeah, but
this year,
what running backs do you know that like to be left out in the cold?
Not a lot.
Yeah, don't let me in the '90s fool you. That ain't.
No, I'm not.
People are probably closer to D'Angelo Evans than they are me.
No, I understand that. But there's also going to be guys that don't have a good landing spot. So that's not left out in the cold because they're not good players. Or it's just.
Do you remember where he wound up?
D'Angelo Evans?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't Northern Iowa, was he?
Emporia.
Oh, that's right. David Horn was Northern Iowa. Yeah.
Big David Horn guy.
Yeah. Central?
Good pool.
Yeah.
It's not a Central thing. It's a David
Horn
thing.
No, he was from Central.
Correct.
Yeah, I wasn't saying it's a Central thing. I was just identifying
I like seeing you squirm.
I like turtles.
This is why I'm mean to you.
That's not why. It's just ingrained in your DNA.
It's part of my personality. I can't help it.
Yeah. Well, I know.
I didn't realize it was Emporia.
Yeah.
That's a D2 school. I don't know if people know that.
Right around the corner from him, though.
Yeah.
And listen, Jello's fine. I'm just saying, like, back in the day, those it's not analogous, right? Because if guys could move this easy, and get a couple of bucks to move, a lot of guys would have moved.
100%. There's a lot of guys in the Nebraska room that probably would have moved.
Yeah,
because they had a lot of good running backs that.
I don't know very many running backs that are cool with what's the term you used?
They're a little divas.
Left
out in the cold.
Yeah, left out in the cold guys.
Yeah, no. Yeah, unlike you, they don't want to be left in the microwave or the fridge. They want to, want to eat.
Knock it off.
Brian Christopherson coming up next.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Here is Husker 24/7 senior writer, Brian Christopherson.
Yeah, you got guys walking into Ace Hardware without their shirts on.
Brian Christopherson.
We got a pretty good sewing circle in this state.
Brian Christopherson.
To me, it's like crunch time, baby.
Here is Brian Christopherson.
Kicking off hour number 2. You're on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We are joined now by Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. What's up, BC?
What's up, fellas?
Whoa. Are you impersonating somebody? That was awful.
Deep.
What's that?
Oh, man. I thought you've been a game day men's health, got that TRT, like testosterone hit. You're like, what's up? I was like, it's like, whoa, who's the new guy? Hey,
no, it's
puberty in the 40s is beautiful.
Me, don't worry. Old Pip squeak me.
BC, have a very...
Hey, guys.
Wow. Hey, BC, we have to be careful not to have too much fun. Sometimes we get chastised about not getting to the nuts and bolts with our guests in a very limited time, man. So a lot of times people don't want us to be like real people. Just feed them information. So don't have too much of a sense of humor. We got to stick to the facts.
So I'm gonna do that here, BC. I've got to.
Don't do it. Don't give in.
No, I'm gonna give in. I got to get to the real stuff right now. BC, if DB said to you, "We got to go see the lady in New York with the flame," would you think that was an odd way of saying the Statue of Liberty?
Whatever.
That's how my brain works a lot. As you guys know, I can't think of things off the cuff, and like 5 to 10 seconds later, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. Like that's why I like to write, because it gives you time to look at the cursor blinking in front of you and not speak on air. So I do that all the time. So I can understand how that could happen. I know what he's talking about though.
Bless your heart, BC. That's why we're boys. Because
BC DB handshake meme.
Yes.
Spider-Man meme, just pointing at each other.
Thank you, BC. I appreciate you letting me off the hook.
I got more hard-hitting stuff we got to get to. How did you feel about the Vikings' white uniforms?
Those look pretty good.
Good on you.
Yeah, I thought those were slick. I didn't have a problem with them. Those are about the only alternates I like from the Vikings. I like when the Vikings go to, like I do with most NFL teams, and they go to whatever they wore in like 1994. You know, like if I feel like the jerseys have gotten worse over the last 10 years or so. Denver Broncos are a case in point of that with what their newer jerseys that they busted out this season. When they go old school, they're great. Same with the Vikings. Same with about everybody.
BC, so I think we're kind of underselling, but not underselling. We're so worried about why is Ed Foley still in Lincoln that we forgot that Nebraska has a long snapper and a punter. Is it strange that with all that's going on, those may be the two biggest portal additions so far if they pan out?
No, I mean, those spots can lift the whole thing of special teams. I mean, we've seen where basically if you are missing at place kicker, punter, or long snapper, everything else could sort of be in order, or you think it is, and it's not. It's going to get drowned out by that. So I think those are monster additions on paper. Obviously, you hope nobody gets the yips or anything once they get here, and they do the job well. And you know, as they say about the long snapper, you like to hear that they got one, and then you hopefully never hear his name again. You know, that's sort of his job, is to disappear and just handle business so we don't speak of it. But yeah, it would have probably helped Ed Foley get to sleep a few nights this fall if a couple of those things had been a little bit better, particularly the long snapper. So it was definitely a need, and at least it's a case where I have remembered when Nebraska's like added a position like long snapper before, and people are like, why can't they just find someone on the roster and all that? I think in this case, everybody nodded their head when they saw Kevin Gallick, and they're like, all right, bring him in. Let's see what he can do. Let's go. So at least it was understood by everybody from the mistakes of this past fall why it was so necessary.
BC, as you're kind of looking at the transfer portal and the additions, obviously some specialists have been landed, but is there, like, what is your desire to see them find a return man, or do you like what they've got internally already?
Return man wise, I wouldn't mind another option. I'm really intrigued by Andrew Marshall, the kid out of Idaho, who is he's a solid DB. He's done well there, but he also had 2 returns for touchdowns for him. One, I think, is a kick returner, one is a punt returner. So I always like seeing stuff like that. I think he won like league special teams player of the week multiple times. So, can he transfer that to this level? I don't know, but guys who have done it at any level at that position as a return man, they seem to have that confidence and sort of that fearlessness that translates pretty well usually. And so that's why I'd be optimistic about a guy like him. So if Nebraska were to land Andrew Marshall, it might say DB on the descriptions on Twitter or whatever when people put it out there, if that were to happen, but you got to think of him as at least an option as to that return game, and that's a big part of it.
BC, as Nebraska's kind of navigating this whole portal visit world, have you allowed yourself to kind of think about, because they will be young in some key spots, that if this kind of year has any sort of success, that this is sustainable and resets kind of his initial thought of still being developmental, but also supplementing. Like, this is kind of a critical year, which in my opinion, makes this bowl season and these practices that much more important when he says, well, this is like the first game of next year. Like I take him at face value there.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's really the way you have to look at it. That's been a shift in my thinking too. I never thought of it as at the the start of the new season as much. And it's a different. I was just thinking about this. How if you had asked me like 4 or 5 years ago, if what I would do if like I had some young players in my system that I like, but I also had seniors at that spot sort of in front of them, what I would do in the bowl game, I would have said, well, I'll play the guys I played most of the season because it's still a game, and every game Nebraska steps on the field is important. This definitely is that, but I've tweaked my thinking to I can see where even where you do still have some veterans around, you would want to mix in some of those younger players for some real reps, on defense or offense and see what they can do in this setting. I think that's probably important to do. So I'm really curious how they try to balance that. There's certain positions where you have no choice but to sort of change how you're going. Like on the defensive line, they have, I know Ty Robinson has said he wants to play, and he's doing the pinstripe press Zoom call tomorrow. So that even suggests that he's continuing with that. You have Nash, who I know has had some knee issues, late in the year. So we'll see there. But you go through the rest, and you're going to have to get more snaps out of Cameron Lenhart, whomever, Riley Van Poppel, guys like that. And we're at such a weird time, guys. I almost hesitate to write or say names now anymore because I'm not speaking like cryptically about anyone specifically, but in general, it's like that guy's still over there, right? You kind of always have that like in the back of your mind when you're even talking on the radio. And so you got to be real careful. But there are definite spots where guys who maybe played 8 to 10 snaps in a game, and that was more Lenhart's role this year. If you look, his snaps kind of dwindled. Someone like him, maybe you got to bump that up big time here, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I felt. Listen, full disclosure. I mean, I feel the same way. Like, like Ives or Hartzog or some of these guys. I'm like, wait,
they haven't hopped in, right?
They're still there, right? Like.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, I get it.
Yeah. No matter how much you pay attention, like you do have this little hesitancy.
That's legit. Like I said, 2 days before Keona Davis said he was going to enter the portal, I was like, oh, Keona Davis, right? Parents just got the – I was like, wait a minute. Keona's leaving?
Yeah.
Keona's not leaving.
And then 3 days later, he's back.
So, I mean, I get the trepidation.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned Keona Davis. See, that's the thing. Like I was talking to linemen, you don't say Keona Davis. Someone's like, oh, what about Keona Davis? Yeah, he'd be a big guy in a game like this too. So, but that's the weird phase we're in this month where you're kind of double checking yourself all the time, and for good reason. But it is going to be really interesting that I don't think we're just talking about special teams in this particular game, that you might see more of this guy or that guy. It's going to be at different position groups, and that's what makes it kind of exciting. You've got that, and then you've got the aspect of John Butler being the D coordinator for the first time with all this going on. I think you got to keep in mind some of the stuff he's dealing with as he takes on that challenge for the first game. But all that adds a really interesting sidebar to a game. Sometimes people might just kind of wave their hand at, but I think Nebraska fans will kind of sit up because of those things and watch it closely.
BC, why do you think we lend any credence to what, like, the outside? So all that, this is just me, and feel free to shoot this down, but like if the game matters to Boston College fan base, Nebraska's fan base, like why do you think we get bogged down with what everybody else thinks?
Yeah, we shouldn't in this one because you're right. Both teams are into it. So this is actually a really good, aside from the playoff games, like the bowl games, I know sometimes get a bad rap, like, okay, who's actually playing for each side? That is a real story elsewhere. But whoever's in New York for this game for both squads, they're interested, and they have a lot invested into not just that game, but what it means for them going into next year and kind of starting to build their resume. As you said in one of your first questions, like that's why these bowl practices are such a big deal. There's so many guys like in that secondary right now that are, looking for their spot next year. And,
having the times of their life too, B.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. Like it's like a pre-spring football, and you've got a game actually in front of you this time. So that I think adds to it. So I would be jacked up, like you say, if I were a second-year freshman or sophomore over there, and suddenly you're getting all these reps, and it's like we might need you in this spot, and it's real. Like this is what you've kind of been waiting for and building and behind the curtain, and now you're actually going on the stage. That's got to be. There's got to be a lot of added juice. I think those guys are going to be fired up for it.
If I'm Mason Goldman or somebody like that, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah,
you know,
Mason Goldman's a good name.
Well, BC, I was going to ask about the defensive line a little bit because I know that we got sort of excited about all the depth that they had there throughout the year, but do you think this might be kind of an interesting opportunity where the depth has been taken from you to see guys like whether it's Mason Goldman or Cam Lenhart that, Cam Lenhart, especially a guy that we thought had a lot of potential and a lot of ability, maybe see him get an expanded role and be able to thrive in it, or like a Keona Davis or an Elijah Judy?
Yeah, sometimes that does happen where it's like, okay, now it's your turn. You have to take the reins, and so just certain guys like really excel when that responsibility is put on their shoulders. Lenhart would be a guy who it wouldn't surprise me if that were the case. We saw like early on in his freshman year, like all the potential that's there. I still remember the sack he had, a Shadur Sanders in Boulder, where it was just like man-hand sack, like it was that guy's a dude, like already at age 18. So I know it hasn't maybe been the year some expected for him, but I liked his mindset last week when he did the press conference. You could tell it's like sort of a reset. I know that I'm supposed to be this guy now. Let's go be that guy, take on that challenge. He didn't waste a lot of words with it. He's just ready for it. I do think there's going to be examples like that where guys can do it. And I think Keona Davis is a guy who was ahead of the curve, this year. He only played 90 snaps, but I felt like just size-wise and all that, he fit in for the position he was playing more than I've seen most first-year freshmen. And I made no bones about it. I knew Damon was optimistic he was going to come back from the portal. But when he first entered, that one hit me harder than any guy that I've seen with Nebraska for the day or two that happened. And so I was like, they got to get that guy back. So I was really happy when they did.
Yeah. B, how about like the actual game itself when you look at the matchup? How close do you think we have to get to the game before you feel like we can even remotely start to cap it, right? Do we need to see a couple of practices? Do you feel like you have a sense, based on who's still left on the roster, how the game is going to be played?
No, I don't. I don't have a good read on it
tough.
at all. I mean, it is. And it kind of stinks because we've been waiting for Nebraska to be back in a bowl game. And you know me, I'm kind of old school on stuff. Like I still wish it was like just a normal like Tuesday bowl practice notebook, where you're talking about I'm getting ready for this particular guy from Boston College. And there's just none of that because for obvious reasons, we're so taken by everything else and chasing stuff over here. So there is a Zoom call tomorrow with the coordinators and a couple players, Dylan and Ty are on it for Nebraska, Holgerson and Butler, and then Rule and some players on Friday just to kind of lay out what the media availability is this week. And I say that to answer your question. I think with that, maybe we start to bridge into those conversations, I hope, more, because the last time with Rule, for fair reason, we were kind of asking about coaching hires and stuff like that. Some of that's still in the wind a little bit, so you got to cover that ground, but I do think it is time to kind of get into this matchup some.
So since it's all we have to go on is paper, I've asked this question to folks that cover. Is Nebraska's staff on paper better on December 18th than they were October 18th?
The coaching staff, yes. I like it a little better on paper. I love the Terry Braden hire on paper. And I might be influenced because I talked to DiCaprio Boodle for a while about him. And, Boodle, different position, but he was in that Chiefs locker room, and he said that guy had a voice over there. Like, don't be fooled by the assistant D-line stuff. Like, he was a guy who dug in with Whether you're a rookie, whether you were a 10-year guy who was an all-pro, he was well-respected. And I think they really did their homework on him. And then you talk about the DB's coach, Addison Williams, and I know some of this stuff hasn't been made official yet, but he's been a D coordinator at 3 different times, and I'm always impressed when you've had that responsibility. And Gus Malzahn really trusted him. I mean, not just recently, but like in 2019, Addison Williams was his assistant to the head coach in title over at Auburn. And so, I mean, that's a guy who, Malzahn, I know some people, he's lost his luster a little bit, but let's remember, he was one of the names in college coaching for a little bit. And he thinks a lot of this guy. So I don't know. It's just that you talk about the experience and sort of how it could play off each other on paper. I actually like it more.
Hasn't lost his luster with me, BC. I love Gus Malzahn.
I was just getting ready to say we're sitting next to a big Gus honk over here because we have to talk about this dude randomly at least once or twice a week.
He's better than people remember. That's all I'm saying. Good head coach.
He's still thinking of Trey Mason and Nick Marshall. That's the Gus Malzahn he's thinking of at all.
Yeah, I mean, I have some nightmares for the first half of the 2013 National Championship game. I'm not going to lie to you. No, I've always been really impressed with the stuff that he runs and all the window dressing. And it's simple, but it looks complex. I like it. There's a lot going on there. It's good stuff. That's all. There's a big Gus Malzahn fan. I don't know what's wrong with that.
Well, I'm glad to bring him up. Glad to get him on your show for you.
I appreciate you helping me hit my quota this week for Gus Malzahn talk.
Hey, B, how are you guys doing what's the breakdown for the 24/7 crew?
I'm flying out on Christmas. I'm leaving from Kansas City because I got a better rate.
There's a couple of players' families doing that too. You may be on a popular flight.
All right. Well, I'll look for them. So I'm leaving the 25th, and then I don't actually have lodging that night. I could be staying at the JFK in Terminal 4, but
who does?
That's okay. Kind of a little adventure. Bruns gets in the next day.
But you're within a week, man.
Yeah.
You probably need to figure that out.
Like he just says it all carefree. I don't know where I'm staying. No. I don't know.
I told you where I'm staying. That's where I'm staying. I know I'm gonna do that. So I've already planned in my head that I'm gonna do that. So
you gonna pull Tom Hanks just sleep in the terminal? What's going on?
Yeah, that could be an interest. I could have some good stories for you, when we come back from the New Year's. But I'm saying I'll have some fresher content for you then. But that's my plan. And then Brunson's coming on the 26th, and the team I know leaves the 23rd. But I don't think there's going to be any media coverage out there till the 26th. So that's what I think is going to happen. So I was going to go on the 23rd at one point, and then I realized nobody in the Nebraska media was doing likewise. And so I decided not to spend the extra $800 it was going to cost me to spend those 2 days in New York. So,
yeah, this is a total first world problem, but if it wasn't easily done for me in terms of accommodations, I wouldn't be leaving with the team on the 23rd either. But it's just you know what I mean? Because it's convenient, but it's not convenient. Because it's gonna
be there for a long time.
Be there for a long time, but this begs the question: what time do you land in New York on Christmas, where you're just gonna contemplate terminaling in it?
I like how worried you guys are for me. I'm kind of almost mini excited about it. I did research, and
are you flying into LaGuardia?
No, it's JFK. LaGuardia, I read, will kick you out from 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. to 4
Shocker,
a.m.
you've done research. I am so surprised.
So you're flying into JFK specifically so you can sleep in the terminal?
Yeah. They said there's spots you can do it.
That's incredible.
So I've kind of looked into it, and
bless your heart, BC.
I don't know. I sound like a cheapskate, but
no, you sound like you. This is the most BC thing ever.
So what time is your flight scheduled to land on the 25th?
About 9 o'clock, 9:30. And I don't want to make it seem like my company wouldn't pay for that. They would, if I went and got a hotel, but it always looks better. Okay, I could save $300.
Yeah, you're just low maintenance.
I'm gonna do that, not draw a lot of attention to myself. Go straight over. I've got it planned out how to get to Fordham University where the practice is on the 26th. In my head, this is like a fun adventure. So it's not a head you want to really get headspace you want to get inside a lot. But I'm looking forward to it.
So can I just ask one more follow up to that? Are you a sleeper?
Yeah, I mean, I'll
that would be fine with me because that airport is almost never going to be quote unquote empty. So
and DB doesn't sleep, so he just wanders around.
So
all night.
I guess I could just walk and wander, but can you like sleep up? Like
are you planning on like posting up and like actually sleeping?
I think I need 2 hours. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
So it's like give me 2 or 3 hours, and the rest is what you're speaking of: walking around, just being a people watcher, maybe writing a couple things. Probably not spelling some of the words right at that time, but whatever. So that's my plan. So not a plan that you should actually lay out publicly because it's a little embarrassing, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'll tell you how it goes when we get back from the break. Hopefully you'll see me, Damon, at the stadium at least on the 28th, and then I make it. So that's what I'm going with.
Unbelievable.
BC,
BC for pads at JFK.
This is going to be a real deep cut joke that you may not get, but if a man comes up to you and he's trying to get medicine into the country, say it's goat medicine. That's what you need to tell him.
Wow.
All right, I got it.
Thank you. I'm glad somebody did. BC, we appreciate it as always, and we wish you the best. I hope you like live tweet your overnight experience at JFK.
Okay.
I would enjoy that.
You're still the GOAT, BC. Appreciate you.
All right. Enjoy being on, guys. Thanks.
That's Brian Christopherson. That's here 24/7. Really still the GOAT. Really?
Incredible.
Have you seen that movie?
No.
You've never seen The Terminal?
No.
You seem like a Tom Hanks guy.
Probably not.
No?
Maybe 2 movies or 3.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
Knock it off.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, reminding you to get out to Foaling Warehouse, Omaha. It is a great place to hang out with your friends, to have a business meeting. Maybe you got a bunch of family in town. You want to get out of the house for a little bit. Check out FoalingOmaha.com. Check out their hours. You can reserve the lanes. And especially if you're going there with family over the holidays, they've got 2 huge bars, which I'm sure will be necessary if you're hanging out with your family. You can also bring your own food. Check out FoalingOmaha.com for more information.
Don't forget, you got the private section too.
Oh, you got the VIP sections. That's right.
Yes.
If you don't know what it is, it's like bowling, but with a football. A ton of fun. Make sure you go check it out. DB.
What do you want now?
I just thought we might talk, have a little conversation, just
busy watching George Kittle give away gifts.
I like George Kittle.
I do too, actually.
Big George Kittle guy. Seems like a decent dude. I wish he would do something about his hair. Bothers me a little bit.
Even though he hates Nebraska, I do like Kittle.
I know. If that's his only flaw, is that he hates Nebraska.
And I get it. Yeah,
he's an Iowa guy. He comes by it honestly.
Yeah.
He is just, maybe one of my favorite 49ers of recent memory, though. Love George Kittle.
That's an odd take.
Why?
Because you kind of are protective of Nebraska.
I am, but I'm also, it's been really not hard. It's just, there hasn't been a lot of 49ers that I've identified with recently in the sense of I just really like how they play.
You identify as a 49er?
No, I identify as somebody who likes his football players not to be full of drama and nonsense. So a lot of the guys on the 49ers don't apply right now.
Yeah.
Like I need Debo to just chill.
Yeah, Debo's
like just chill and play football.
You
Debo.
don't play the game the way Debo does
and be any kind of normal.
And be even killed.
Yeah. But still not my favorite there. I like Ayuk, but banged up, and don't love that. And
glad you guys ponied up.
It's good investment this year. I like Christian McCaffrey, but I'm just always waiting for his Achilles to pop off.
It might be a minute for C-Mac.
Yeah, and so I'm a little worried about him. I like Brock Purdy, but I don't really have a special.
Okay, I'm good on the Niners.
I don't have a special attachment to him.
I'm good.
It's either Kittle or Juszczyk. I love Juszczyk. Love him. I don't know why. I love Kyle Juszczyk.
Weird. It's nobody really any different that are your faves.
What do you mean?
Oh, I don't know.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
It's hard-working, blue-collar guys. Ravi, all the way.
What do you mean? Listen, if any of our other players were a little less dramatic, a little less diva-y, a little healthier, I'd enjoy that.
I mean, nothing says drama like old Fred Warner, but nope, not good enough.
And it doesn't really matter with Brock anyway, because eventually he'll be a Raider. So
I'm an offensive guy, you know this.
Well, you're offensive, all right. You got that right.
I'll be honest. Patrick Willis broke my heart a little bit with the early retirement.
Is that what it is? Traumatized?
Yeah, I was a little bit. I was a big Vernon.
Once you go Willis, you never go back?
I was a big Vernon Davis guy. I loved Vernon Davis.
I thought you said low maintenance.
Yeah, I learned my lessons. Maybe it's just 85 tight ends. Just like tight ends were in 85.
Yeah.
What?
All good in the neighborhood, buddy.
I
think you were still on cloud 9 over Dicker. That's weird that you raised a couple inches off your seat and it wasn't flatulence.
No, that's as far as you know. No, that's
Dicker.
That's a really good hire for Wake Forest.
It's kind of random.
I didn't think they'd be able
kind of random
for them.
Yes.
Oh, 100%.
It's a good pull.
It's a really good pull for them. And honestly, it wasn't about them or even Jake Dicker in general. It was just I didn't think they'd be able to land a good coach at this point.
That is a really good hire
for what that program is right now. That's a tough job. I don't know if it's any tougher than Washington State. Washington State's one of the tougher jobs in the country.
That's a tough job.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest jobs in the country. And especially now with their in limbo status between whose conferences is the Pac-12 going to be a real thing again? I get him wanting to get out, and maybe he just said, "Hey, this is the landing spot." It's probably in better shape than a Purdue might have been. I don't know if he was even considered at a place like Purdue, but for Wake Forest, that's kind of a coup. That's a great pull for them.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at over there?
Nothing.
So you giggling a little bit. What's going on?
Nothing. I can't believe how giddy you got over there.
I was surprised. Not as surprised as I was to see Michael Vick's the head coach now.
Surprise.
That came out of nowhere.
I'm just glad to see that felons aren't discriminated against.
But there are some places you can still hire a felon without any problems.
I got no problems. I
don't need. And listen, I'm a big dog guy, so for me not to have problems with Michael Vick.
Yeah, wow. Talk about conflict of interest.
I genuinely felt like he learned from it and paid the price.
Oh, that's nice. You're growing up.
Not really.
Surprise.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong.
You have some forgiveness in that heart of yours?
Yeah, for some people.
I like Mike.
I do too. I was rooting for him when
I think he's Mike now.
Mike, excuse me. It was Michael when I was growing up. Hey, Mikey. No, I was rooting for him when he came back with the Eagles. I was rooting for him to be successful there. He had probably the best year and a half stretch of his career with the Eagles.
Right there at home at Norfolk State?
Probably not.
Now, are they Norfolk?
Yeah, because it's Virginia, so Norfolk. Norfolk?
I like how you try to use it. What?
Norfolk?
No, you're exactly right.
Well, the way they pronounce it.
Who's they? Norfolkians?
Yeah, people that live in that part of the country.
I'm going to ask my sister. She lived in Centreville for a while.
I believe they kind of mishmash that word together a little bit.
I'm not trusting one word you say about enunciation.
Why not?
I'm just not.
Uruguay.
See, that's...
To this day.
Back in the day.
Repercussions?
See you. Have a good day. Love you.
What was weird about the Mike Vick thing, though, is there was this weird bidding war between Norfolk State and Sacramento State.
Yeah.
I don't understand what happened there.
So was Sac State who had the $50 million in NIL
and people were
Shefty Clown Gottlieb?
Yeah. People were arguing whether it was actually $50 million or what, where that number came from.
I don't think anybody was arguing but Gottlieb.
No, I mean,
Gottlieb got the thing started.
Yeah.
And Shifty
dunked on him.
By the way, that guy got pardoned.
Who?
Shifty Schefter.
Oh, yeah.
Was that one of 1,500?
A lot of pardons being handed out recently.
Seems like a lot.
Just a lot going on.
Anyway, stick to sports.
Maybe that's what happened with Mike Vick. Maybe that's how he was able to pass the background check. Got pardoned.
Do you need a background check to know that Vic went to prison?
I mean, maybe
fairly well documented.
Yeah. Once it's pardoned, though, it's all gone. Didn't happen.
What is that?
It's all gone.
What is that?
It's like a little magic show.
Stop doing that, weirdo.
Doing what?
That's all.
Like, surprise, surprise, it's gone. You good over there?
No.
You good? Schefter, Gottlieb, dunking.
So anyway, I don't know what to do with you.
Sacramento
sometimes.
State, $50 million. Schefter, Gottlieb.
So apparently, I mean, Sac State is ready to make that move.
Yeah, apparently they're trying to move up into either the Pac-12 or the Mountain West and try and be a big boy school.
Yeah, I'm cheering for Vic. I never liked him as a player.
I liked his
I never cheered for Mike Vick.
I cheered for him with the Eagles.
So but I do cheer for him as a person.
Yeah. So there's this
because I hate it. I just didn't like his style.
Like his playing style.
Yeah. So this is going to sound really, really weird, but this is typical DB. I wanted, as a guy that grew up wanting to be a black quarterback, what I felt like I wanted people to see is that I could throw.
Sure. Yeah.
I could throw, man. I could throw, regardless of the fact I was 5'1" and 27 pounds, right? Just I could throw. So when I watch Vic play, I'm like, man, see, he's contributing to the stereotypes.
Just sit in there and throw it.
He's contributing to the stereotypes. So what you saw some other African-American quarterbacks do is go out of their way to say, I'm a thrower first.
Yeah.
I'm a passer of the quarterback. And I felt like he was kind of at the crux of that, where all Vic does is run around. And so that was kind of looked at as a negative.
Yeah.
And so I always found him polarizing as a player. Like I never cheered for him, even though he was really good at what he did.
Well, and I mean now, obviously that wouldn't.
But
be
as a person, I'm all in on Mike Vick.
Obviously, wouldn't be a problem now. And I do think there were a lot of quarterbacks that kind of hamstrung themselves by not playing to their strengths.
Yes.
And that was
I saw that happen a lot
because they were trying
to be who you are,
overcome a stereotype instead of just being a good football player and playing to what they were best at. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. If you're ready to take control of your weight this holiday season, give Midland's Family Urgent Care a call. They've got special offers for the new year. Tirzepatide for $5.99 for the first 3 months, or semaglutide for $3.49 for the first 3 months. Get to Midland's Family Urgent Care. Give them a call, 402-810-9494 to get started on your weight loss journey today. DB.
What do you want now?
I just thought we might talk, have some nice conversation.
Can we talk? By the way,
I thought you
do you know
go,
who I know is low-key trouble?
Who?
He pawns it off as like this good guy.
Who?
Austin is trouble.
Austin?
Oh, yeah, our Austin.
Our guy, Austin Jacobson?
Yes.
Why? What happened?
He's just I've kind of been checking him out over the past year.
Yeah.
He's very good at like staying out of the fray, but like watching it kind of smolder. He's
just occasionally throw some.
Yeah, you know how guys kind of have a knack for that. That's AJ.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Funny dude.
We'll keep an eye on him.
Well, I'm telling you, you better watch him.
You gotta be careful.
Watch him.
He might be joining me next week when you're headed to New York.
Yeah. So I do think I won't be here for that.
That's fine. I mean, don't hang out with me. It's fine.
That's not true. I like knowing how I'm going to get from the airport to the hotel and what hotel I'm staying in, and it's okay if other people figure that out for me.
So you're not like DB, or you're not like BC where you're just like, I'll just sleep at the airport.
No, although I kind of understand the hustle.
I appreciate that he did the research and isn't just winging it.
So you know what I do like, though, is he's kind of, as a company guy, he's interested in what's best for the company. Because I just had this conversation with Jess the other day, because she's like, oh, hey, by the way, we're doing Husker Sports Nightly on the 26th. And I was like, wait, we are?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that part of duties otherwise assigned? Or she's like, oh, no, hey, we'll be doing lots, practice reports. And I was like, should that be on the house because I'm with the network? Is that expected? Because
yeah.
So you know what I mean? So I rationalize that kind of stuff in my head.
Yeah.
As what's good for the company versus
what's good for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I could appreciate that. That was the most BC thing ever.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I didn't make fun. Like that's totally BC.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd go ahead and be like, hey, CBS 24/7. Gonna need that hotel room.
Oh, I know you would.
Gonna need that hotel room.
I mean, Bougieville over here. But I get it.
I mean, I'm not asking to stay at the Plaza or anything. I'm just not sleeping at JFK.
No, I understand. I mean, I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
Not about that life.
I don't think there's anything wrong with you wanting to know your travel arrangements.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That would be the nice thing about traveling with the team, though, right? You don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah, that's the. So what you get with that is the it's not the downside, but
you're beholden to somebody else's schedule.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I got you.
100%.
That makes sense. We've got a couple other little bits of news we might as well clean up here. James Williams finally is committed to Florida State. What a lot of people thought was a foregone conclusion.
Said I'm home. He had the picture with his little boo.
Yep. A lot of people thought it was a foregone conclusion. Took a little time to get done.
You're my little boo thing.
That's a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who he was at the hotel with in Iowa City.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
They seem close.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Another one of our guys, Michael Penix.
Yeah, he's going to start.
Going to be the starting core. I like how they phrased it moving forward also. At least that's how it was said. So it doesn't seem like it's hey, 1 week, we're just giving Kirk a. It seems like they're going to ride with Penix for a few weeks, see what happens.
Right.
Which I'm excited about. This is the guy I like the most out of the draft.
And this is the guy that I kind of defended when Atlanta made the draft pick.
Yeah, because people are like, well, why do you spend $180 million on Kirk?
Although Shane got a good one. He is a fantastic tight. There's lots of things that Atlanta could have done with the pick.
I was thinking quarterback for a second. I was like, they did not draft a quarterback. But no, Bowers is incredible.
And they still need to get after the passer a little, but
yeah.
This is what they did. They got their quarterback of the future for the next 4.5 years.
I kind of asked
3.5.
I kind of asked this to Cynthia yesterday.
She's fantastic, by the way.
Oh yeah, and I like that she seems to enjoy talking to us, which is nice.
Yeah.
But would you, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, are you sitting there and go, yeah, probably should have hired Bill Belichick? Are they better off this year if they've got Bill Belichick? Because I don't hate the roster.
I don't know. No, the roster's decent. Let me ask you something. So speaking of Cynthia, we brought up Vrabel yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear Dan Orlovsky?
I did. That was super weird.
So obviously Vrabel knows where he's going.
Yeah.
Were you surprised that college was on the table?
I think there is one place in college that's on the table.
He's been there, though.
What do you mean?
Vrabel.
Yeah. I think there's one place in college that's on the table. I do not think college in general is on the table. I don't go conspiracy theory on you very often.
Yes, you do.
Not as much as you do.
I'm a big conspiracy guy.
I think it's Ohio State.
Surprised.
I think that's the only college job that's on the table for him, though.
So I want to. This is not me being mean, but duh. Right. There's only one college job he would take. Are you surprised that college is in the discussion? Not where, but that college over pro. That's the thing.
I'm not surprised that Ohio State would be his first choice. Like that doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
So
really the answer is no.
No.
Right? You're like Ohio State greater than Chicago or
I think so.
New York or
I think so. Because look at the places that are going to
because of job security, familiarity.
I think
the fact that the college game is more like the pros now.
So I think there's a couple things that factor into that, right? I like
how when you said a couple, but you showed me 5.
Well, I was bringing them together into a little, so I didn't want to just do like one of these. Just bringing them together. Just circle it up. I think that the college game becoming more NFL-like, that's a big factor.
Don't do that. If you like me as a partner, I'm still enjoying my job.
So if I ever get sick of it, I know how to get rid of you.
This close to getting booted by my next comment.
So I think the NFL or the college being more NFL-like is part of it. I think job security at a place like Ohio State for him is part of it. The other part is the organizational dysfunction of the jobs that are going to be open, right? If you don't like the same things about the Jets and the Bears jobs that I don't like, you sit there and you go, okay, I'm kind of rolling the dice here on whether or not I think I can be successful with situations that have historically kept people from being successful. And then I look at the Giants and I go, okay, I like the ownership there. Don't necessarily love where the roster is. I have to figure out a quarterback. Maybe I don't love that either. And then you go, okay, I'm certainly not taking the Raiders job. That's God no. Am I really that interested in Jacksonville?
Sorry, Shane.
I'm not. That's a dumpster fire.
Why? Jacksonville, you get your other favorite quarterback. I mean, Penix and Lawrence. I mean, why not?
He's a talented guy.
Generational.
Doesn't mean he's good. There's a difference.
Never mind.
But you look at Jacksonville, oddly enough, might be one of the better situations that could come open.
I was surprised to hear Cynthia reference Jayville with the edge guys and a quarterback.
Like, it's better than a lot of the other spots.
But whoever takes that job in Jacksonville has to believe wholeheartedly in
that
Trevor
they can
Lawrence.
fix Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know if that's – at this point, I don't know if that's a thing. Like, I don't know if getting the most out of his talent is still on the table. I don't know. Maybe it is. But you're right. If you take that job, you have to fully believe that. And I think you look at it and you go, okay, if I'm Mike Vrabel and I look at the jobs that are open, and if Jacksonville might be the best option, that's a little scary. And then you look at college and you go, okay, I know I'm going to have whatever I need financially. I can go pick the players. I can put together my staff to cover up things that I'm not good at. And he knows the football. We've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
It does make sense to me that would be the job that he preferred. I mean, if you're Mike Vrabel and you're coming off the NFL and you're like, hey, I did a hell of a job in Tennessee and I got fired. Like,
I mean, did he do a heck of a job in Tennessee?
I thought so. I thought he did a really good job in Tennessee. And here's the thing, if you're Ohio State, that makes sense. What kind of teams did Mike Vrabel put together in Tennessee?
You asked me the same question last.
In terms of mentality. Like these physical, hard-nosed football teams.
Right.
What's the thing that's kicked Ohio State's ass the last 4 years?
Probably trench toughness.
Yeah. So if you're Ohio State, it makes a ton of sense. If you're Mike Vrabel, you're like, hey, I can do the thing they need. You can get.
And he's used to coaching guys that make money.
Yeah, he's used to coaching guys that make money. He's used to coaching guys that are going to play at the NFL level for the most part. And he can treat – Ohio State is one of the places where you really can treat
the whole pro back to college thing is maybe start to be legit.
It's a fascinating thing because of what you said with Rule yesterday with Cynthia, that it's way more work.
Yeah, he works harder, longer throughout the course of a year.
That's the thing.
College.
It's the off season. There's the lack of an off season in college is because I think in season and kind of when you're in it, it's probably about the same hours wise, but it's the fact that you're always on in college. Now, you could probably start to set things up in a way with no staff limits and things like that, especially at a place like Ohio State, where you can start to have more guys on staff to take some of that burden. And if you're okay with doing it the Belichick model and hiring an entire scouting department or whatever that looks like.
Just re-ratcheted up the already undertones of the pressure for Ryan Day.
Oh, 100%.
That's crazy.
Old
Orlovsky.
What did we say like a month ago? If he doesn't win a national championship, he might be gone. Yeah. I think that's exactly where we're at.
And he could easily lose in the first round.
Oh, 100%. Like anything's on the table for that team. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We got Mitch Sherman from The Athletic coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Now, gas station coffee enthusiast and Nebraska writer for The Athletic, Mitch Sherman.
It's great to see you. It's been since a cold day in the corner of Memorial Stadium.
Mitch Sherman.
I wrote that down because I'm going to use it in life.
Mitch Sherman.
It's not something that you generally hear, and it's certainly not something that you see put into action.
Mitch Sherman.
It's a lot more rare than you might think that they actually say it in the way that he says it and then go do it.
Here is Mitch Sherman.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We have our friend Mitch Sherman from The Athletic joining us now. What's up, Mitch?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Good, Mitch. How we doing?
Doing great. Doing great. A little worn down by busy holiday season, but it's all good. I'm looking forward to some more travel. Going to Louisville this week. Going to New York next week.
So I was going to ask how you're pulling that off because my colleague Jessica Cootie's going to be in the same boat. If Nebraska wins, she'll be going from Louisville to New York City. Are you
I'll be home for a couple days in between.
You a big train guy, Mitch? Would you take a train?
Yeah, I don't know about that far. If I'm on the East Coast, like I took a train once with my wife from Washington D.C. to New York, and that was a enjoyable experience because we were only on the train for like 3 or 4 hours in the morning, and you didn't have to go through the hassle of going to a couple of busy airports. But yeah, in the East Coast situation, I'm all for it. A train from Louisville to New York, I don't think I'd be in on that. No,
it's a little aggressive.
Yeah,
I've got a that's just he's just looking in from going from Charlotte to New York, and
okay, all
price
right,
is like
maybe
coach and business, and
it's comfortable.
So it seems like that would not be a bad way to go.
I just think it takes a lot longer than driving. It depends what kind of a train you're on. If you're on like and I don't have experience on this, so I'm speaking from an uneducated standpoint. But I think if you're on like an express train that you paid more for, it might be much better than the train that stops in every little town along the way. But yeah,
looks like about 12 hours on a train from Charlotte to New York. So that's a
no,
long
thank you, no thanks.
So Mitch, I know this is weird. I feel like I'm Thomas and you're the train, but did you eat in just like a 4-hour train ride? Like, is train food better than plane food?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, if you're in first class it's like anything. If you're in first class on a plane, you're going to get better food than what you might get in coach on a train, I think. But it's overall better. There's just more room. You can spread out a little bit. The seats are bigger. I recall. So we went for my wife's 40th birthday a few years ago, or it was last year. It hasn't happened yet, but we went.
Mitch here for liking to be married.
Yeah, we went from DC to New York on the day of the Army-Navy game. It was also the day of the Heisman ceremony. Ton going on, like in the holiday season, and it was very festive on the train ride because there were a bunch of the midshipmen who were going up to Philly who were on the train with us. Like it kind of went through that area, that corner in New Jersey on the route into New York. So I had a good time just like walking through the train cars and like people watching. And there's a dining car on a short ride like that. I don't know that we were eating full meals, but you could stop and get snacks and things like that. Definitely better than a plane.
I do like the idea of a dining car. I feel like I could get behind that.
Well, I just think about the scene on The Equalizer where, do you remember where the guy had like taken the young lady and he was back in the caboose of are you a big Equalizer guy, Mitch?
No, I don't know. I don't even know. I'm not familiar.
All right. I'm so paranoid now, Mitch. I got my hand slapped yesterday for not getting to the guts of interviews with.
Oh, no, it's better that way, isn't it?
So that's what we like to think, but.
I'm gonna be. I think it's better. I as a listener, it's better. I'm gonna be doing some train. I'll just blame it on me. I'm gonna be riding trains in New York when I'm there around the Pinstripe Bowl because I just, as a matter of principle, didn't want to pay the whatever it was $800 to stay in a small normal New York City hotel room. So I'm staying a little bit outside of the city in Westchester County, which is an easy train ride in, not the subway, like a regular train in to the Bronx, to Yankee Stadium. And I'll go into the city on a train into Penn Station or Grand Central, but it's not going to be the New York City subway. It's like a real train.
Yeah, that's cool. That's how my sister is. She's only about 4 miles from Yankee Stadium. She works for Bloomberg, and she picked to live in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
She's like in a renovated section. It's like Cabrini Green, New York, where they like renovated this housing deal, and she loves it. She's actually contemplated just getting rid of her car altogether.
Oh, I'm not renting a car. I'm flying into LaGuardia and just getting my way into the city, and then up to Westchester. No car. I've driven in New York. I want no part of it. Yeah, I mean, and I don't mind driving in big cities. Like,
kind of giving me a little fright. Like I'm just, that's why I may not leave. Right. I may not go anywhere.
No. You don't. Come on. No, you go out and see the city. It's fantastic that time of year between Christmas and New Year's. Like I love New York, but I will not. I would only drive there if I absolutely had to. In 2008, I went to New York, same time of year. This was an article that I was writing for the World Herald, we were trying to track down Bill Callahan. I mean, we could track him down. I was trying to talk to him and get him to do like his first interview. It would still be his first today if he did it. His first interview about his time at Nebraska. And I went and found him. I knew where he was, but I went to the Jets facility and talked to people about him. I talked to Danny Woodhead. I talked to Brett Favre. I talked to Jets O linemen about him, but I never. It was still great. It was a great experience, and I had to drive then, and I stayed in the city in Midtown, like Times Square area. And driving in New York is just like, if you're going out there as a fan, like, see, we're talking about the Pinstripe Bowl. If you're going out there as a fan and you're staying in the city, like, just don't get a car. Like, it's insanity. Take the public transportation. Much better option.
There we go. You heard it here from Mitch. Take public transportation in
Mitch
New York.
for safety in New York. Public transpo.
We love public transportation.
I've only been on a bus once, so
in your entire life?
My entire life.
Like in a city bus or in
city bus?
Okay, because I assume like school buses and stuff for games.
Yeah.
And no
I've
city
only been on a
buses.
city bus once.
Are you a big city bus guy, Mitch?
No. I'm
you
kind
want
of
to give that some thought? Are you a big
kind of with Damon on that? Not really by choice, just like, I haven't been in situations where I've needed to ride a city bus a whole lot, thankfully.
Yeah, you don't end up in. It's not a big thing in Omaha here.
Right. Mitch, let me ask you something, because we're talking about like the logistics, right, and travel, and Nebraska being in a bowl game for the first time in forever, and the noise that comes with that in the middle of December. What do you think Coach Rule meant when he said, "Hey, the portal, coaches coming and going, meaningful discussions in December. You better get used to it." Like, for you, as you're listening to him, as he's kind of describing the controlled chaos in December, and he said, used to it, what do you think he meant?
I think it's pretty. I don't think there's a whole lot to interpret from that. He said you better get used to it because this is just the norm. This is what it's going to be every year. Like, Nebraska's got more chaos this year for a couple reasons, I think, because one, it's the first time going to a bowl in 8 years, so there's some newness to. I mean, if this was every year, I think some of the stuff that they were going through with travel plans and logistics would be, all right. We'll go back and look at our blueprint. Yeah, we'll go look at our blueprint from last year, but there is no blueprint at this point. It was 3 coaching staffs ago, so. Yeah, there's that, but then the bigger thing with him saying that it's just going to be this way every year, you're going to have change. Like, college football is a place of change and it has a transient nature to it that's beyond pro sports now, because everyone's a free agent every year, and that goes for coaches too. So if you can't handle like uncertainty and the daily like roller coaster ride of seeing a player go in the portal or come out of the portal, or coming on a visit that on a portal visit and then leave without committing, and or commit to other schools, like it's all just a big ride, and it's he said perceived chaos. So that's an interesting descriptor that he used, because I think the message that he's trying to convey is that to him, it's not chaos. Like he feels that he has it under control, but to everyone on the outside, it looks very chaotic.
Mitch, as we kind of look at some of that chaos, we saw Dante Dowdell enter the transfer portal this week, which I think surprised some people, but I'm more curious about what you think of Nebraska's running back room in general, with who they have left, who they have coming in. Do you think, where do you think the running back room is now versus, say, last spring?
Well, last spring, you still had A.J. Allen in the picture before he transferred to Miami. It's a lot different. Dowdell was coming in then. Now he's gone. Emmett Johnson, clearly has elevated his place in that room. I think a year ago they were uncertain, and Emmett was a little bit uncertain about like what his role was going to be going into the next season, and rightfully so, because Nebraska didn't have a great vision for it. They really liked Ramir Johnson, but it's the same situation that it's been for most of his career, that he just has struggled to stay healthy throughout a season. He's gone next year. Again, Dowdell's gone. Where they're at right now, moving forward, I think is in need of another piece. You have a player that you really like in Emmett Johnson coming back. I think they feel okay about some of the younger players in the room, although we just don't know at this point. I think with running backs, like if you've been in the program for 2 years and you haven't broken through and made a big contribution, especially with like Nebraska looking for and needing contributions, then like you're going to have to up your game, or there's probably not a lot of optimism about like what you're going to give this team moving forward. Like I think they said they felt great about Quentin Ives a year ago, but we still didn't see him make a big impact. So where's that at going into 2025? Mekhi Nelson, they like him. He was new to the program in the summer. I understand why he didn't make an impact this year. I think that they're holding out hope that that's something that can definitely materialize. And there's the 2 freshmen coming in. Jamarian Parker is a dynamic player. Connor Booth is someone that they feel can be a piece there too. But yeah, I mean, you need some more. Like you need a proven back. You need somebody who can get tough yards. Not that Emmett can't do that, but he can't do everything. Like that Dowdell role that you saw with Holgerson, the way that he used him in the last 3 games. I think they want to find somebody in the portal who can give them that.
Mitch, as the scholarship distribution deal, and we'll get to 105, and you and I have talked about that. I go back to the conversation we had off air in the press box. I don't know if it was high school or we're actually at a game, but you and I were talking about the delay in getting to 105 and how if they decide to do it in the next couple of weeks, it's going to have to be quick, right? Because I think at that time, I kind of had the feeling that they may prolong it a little bit since there was no clear directive at the time you and I were talking. As you look at the 105 and the scholarship distribution chart, you've covered this a long time. Has your idea of the number of position players you need at a specific position changed over time as you've watched the game evolve?
Yeah, because you used to just in a different era of college football, even up until recent years,
remember how we would say, "Oh, you need 4 scholarship quarterbacks," and
right. Well, that's obviously different.
Scholarship running backs, many, and like
I was having the conversation this week about offensive linemen and how many offensive linemen you need on the 105, and how you even count those. Because is it offensive linemen who are ready to play, or are you talking about your offensive linemen on the entire 105? That's the one position group where, as true freshmen, you just don't expect. Like they have to be targeted to redshirt. I mean, if you get a special case, and Nebraska's had a few through the years, then they can play as true freshmen, but you don't want to put yourself in that position where you have true freshman offensive linemen who have to contribute. So there's 2 different numbers at that spot. Everywhere else, pretty much, defensive line maybe, but pretty much everywhere else, you have, I think, 1 number now. And that's not been the case, because in the past, most of your first-year players out of high school, you would just expect that they're going to redshirt. Now, with the 105 and so much you can't be in a situation where, your roster's 105, but you've only got 62 players or 71 players who have any chance at all to get into a game. It's got to be a higher percentage than that. So the whole conversation has changed, and just the conversation obviously has changed a lot simply because you don't have the depth. Like, where's your scout team? Do you even have a scout team? Like, it's not, they're not going to be there in the spring. I feel very confident in saying, like, Nebraska is going to take this thing and continue to whittle away, and players will make decisions after the bowl game in January. They'll be closer to 105 than they are today. But then they're going to add, quite a few more pieces out of the portal. Like, I think in the spring, they're going to be like 10 to 15 heavy, and then decisions will be made based on the way that practices go at that time of year. And you'll see it slowly slide down to 105 by the time you get to July.
It seems like it was just a few years ago where we were having this conversation. Well, does Nebraska need 6 scholarship running backs in the room? Or, Frost with his comments, I remember he's coaching malpractice when he got there to have 14 scholarship defensive backs. Remember, he had to go heavy and restock that. It's just it just wasn't that long ago we were having these conversations about numbers, and it shifted dramatically since then.
Yeah, they're different, and that's where the portal comes in because you want to always have an old team. We've looked at a lot of Nebraska rosters.
It works in college baseball. It wins
Yeah.
in college basketball. Like mature teams, for all the portal movement, seems like age is the constant.
Yeah, these rosters that we've looked at Nebraska over the past few years where like half your roster has been true freshmen or redshirt freshmen, those days are gone. You cannot afford to do that in college football today because a high percentage of those players aren't going to be ready to play at a high level. Some will, but a high percentage won't. And that's going to kill your depth. We're going to see situations. I was having this conversation also this week. Like we're going to get to a place in this sport, and it probably won't be, knock on wood with Nebraska or even in the Big Ten, but just be like, so how many kickers do you keep? How many punters do you keep? How many long snappers do you keep? I think it's probably 2 of each one of those, but somebody's going to run into a spot. This is not the NFL where if you have a freak situation where both your kickers get hurt or one of them's sick and one of them's hurt, you can go, we go to the waiver wire. Like, no, there's not, like your 105 is your 105 seemingly in college football. When do we have a situation in the sport when a team cannot operate on special teams? Like you get to a place where, your quarterback is punting, or you have to go for 2 every time because you don't have a snapper, or you don't have a kicker. Like that's going to happen. And it might have. Yeah.
Squad.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Did you see a taxi squad?
Yes, but we haven't gotten word. I haven't heard a coach say that. Like, I think they should do that. I think they should have
Coach Rule is the only person I've heard talk about that publicly, I think.
Has he said that because I haven't talked to him about that, and I'm sure that a coach in his situation would want it because it would relieve a lot of the pressure. There are players who would willingly want to be a part of that. Rule did say that there are players in this program who want to be Huskers, and they're not really concerned about whether they're going to get into a game. So if they were on your taxi squad, they would be great. They'd be good with that. One, because you'd have the possibility, like in an off season or even maybe in season, to move up if the situation presented itself. But 2, you would be contributing to Nebraska football. You'd be helping the program. They're largely going to be in-state kids. Like what the walk-on program could like morph into something like that. I could see it. I think it'd be great, but I don't hear anybody at the decision-making level saying that this is a possibility.
Yeah, Mitch, I think that Coach Rule has talked about it as a desire to have something like taxi squad. But is there? I'm just wondering if, not knowing what the legislation is going to look like, what would be your ideal solution to that problem that you possess? Is it like, hey, we can go back to
a protected 10 maybe,
or like maybe we can go back to JV teams where they're not playing or eligible for varsity? Like, what would your ideal solution to that scenario be? Or would it just be, hey, the 105 is a dumb arbitrary number?
Commissioner Sherman, the floor is yours.
If you have to have a 105, I think it is a dumb arbitrary number. But if you have to have it for reasons of rev share, equality, whatever it is, they said that this was set in court and they came to a settlement. They set a number. If there's no changing that, and it's got to be the 105, then I think, yes, something like a taxi squad, or you can call it what you want, a practice team, injured reserve. Like, I think there have to be extra pieces of extra players who are out there. Well, there don't have to be. There may not be, but NFL teams have that wiggle room, and you're turning college football into this NFL model. I recognize that the NFL teams are 53 men, and you're talking about 105 for college, but it's different because every player on a 53-man roster is ready to go right now. Like, they can play. They're seasoned. They're pros. Like, you can put them on the field. That is not the case in college with 105. So, and they have a taxi squad. They have free agency. They have a waiver wire. They can make trades. Like, none of that stuff happens in college. So yeah, you need some flexibility. You've got to have like a cushion somewhere. I don't know what it looks like. Like I've looked at times, and there are other teams on campus, like women's basketball, for instance, like has a males, like male student athletes, not student athletes, male students who help them practice. They're like a practice team. They're obviously they're never going to be playing. Even if it was women, they were, they're the practice team. They're never going to be playing. So like, there's a precedent out there somewhere in the world of college athletics where you can have students on campus who aren't a part of your team, but are a part of your practices, and can receive some of the benefits that the athletic department provides. Like they can get gear, they can eat at the training table, they can, use the facilities, stuff like that. Like if that can happen and already happens in some sports, why can't that happen in football?
Interesting. Mitch, and this is on the I just remember Coach Tomlin I'm a big press conference guy, walking off the podium when he was asked about the college game, and he said, "Oh, we'll never use never." But we're just seeing like different kinds of hires. We've seen Belichick. Obviously we're on the heels of Vrabel being floated, maybe going back to Ohio State after being a professional coach. Michael Vick at Norfolk State.
Mm-hmm.
The game has changed dramatically with how it's managed. How soon do you think, because they do overlap a little bit in terms of philosophy, that it wouldn't be far-fetched to see pro coaches go to college with similar infrastructures, seemingly similar infrastructures?
Yeah. Not long ago, there was this discussion about these established coaches, whether it was Jay Wright or Nick Saban, who were driven out of the game because of the changing nature of college athletics and NIL and the portal and paying players and revenue sharing and all that came with that. And it was like, hey, coaching in college is not going to be the thing for these established coaches who are used to doing something one way. Well, as it's continued to evolve, now we're in a situation where I think the conversation has changed a little bit, and you see Bill Belichick or even Deion Sanders is part of this conversation. It didn't come from the NFL, but he coaches in a certain way and he runs his program in a certain way that's, I think, maybe more in line with what a coach from the NFL is going to want to do. Like Belichick wants to have a recruiting department, a personnel department. He wants to send coaches on the road and evaluate who aren't part of his coaching, his on-field coaching staff, like 2 staffs. He hired Mike Lombardi, right? As a general manager. So a lot of programs have general managers. Nebraska has a general manager, and Sean Padden, who is a key piece in the program. But that's going to be the not just the norm. Like it's going to almost be mandatory to structure college programs like NFL organizations. And I do think that along with the reality that, like, if you are a head coach, you don't need to recruit. Like when players come in on campus for visits, you will sit down with them, you will talk with them, you will talk with them about salary or whatever the rev share piece of it is. You can send them to your money people in the NIL office. Like it is a lot like a free agency visit would have been in that free agency period during the NFL. So it looks I think the way it's evolving, it looks a lot more like the NFL than college football ever has, and seemingly that should entice former or even current NFL head coaches to want to come run these organizations.
That's Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, we appreciate it as always. Enjoy your little traversing the country over the next couple weeks.
Thanks, Mitch.
We'll do. Thank you, guys.
We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR, and Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It's time for Bet On It. Brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook, best place in Nebraska. Place your sports bets. What's up, DB?
Oh, I was just going back and forth with my sister.
You look alarmed for a second.
No, she's in Manhattan, Harlem. She's 18 minutes from Yankee Stadium, other side of the river.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I Googled when I thought she should be an Airbnb candidate. But I ran it by my mom last week, and she's like, yeah, you know your sister. That's not happening. I'm like, yeah, good point.
No, that's
because
not gonna happen.
T-Mac is from he's from the South Bronx.
Okay.
I mean, formerly known as South Bronx, which is just right off of Fordham Road, which isn't very far from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I mistaken? South Bronx used to be a pretty rough part of town.
Yeah. It's all from South Bronx to.
It's one of the ones I've heard of that's usually not a good sign.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say, T-Mac. He's not like the others.
No, I'm just.
I can't believe Hot Danger said exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's super weird.
I asked Shane if the mics were on.
Yeah.
Because it's a random pull.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about it last night.
That's a random pull. Because so I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like when you asked me, and I had to pause, which doesn't happen often, but it's
Right.
probably what I should do more often. Just relax a little bit.
But you
before
could tell it wasn't something you'd thought about.
No, I hadn't thought about it. And he says because of the transfer portal and everything that isn't Big Ten or SEC, is JUCO now the right way to go? You just asked me, do you think why don't more people consider junior college coaches?
So I think he was saying that everybody else is basically a JUCO now.
Yeah.
So like all the group of five, whatever.
No, I understand.
And so what I had asked you off air, which is why you were like, are the mics on?
Yeah, it was just weird how you guys are kind of on the same page.
You guys just think alike.
I asked.
That is totally not true.
I asked, I go, okay, with all, because, coming off of Jake Dickert ending up at Wake Forest, which was a good hire for them. But, you see some of these either power jobs that are kind of rough jobs or these group of five jobs that are, they're challenging places to win. And talking with Mitch through the NBC earlier about the roster change and the nature of what these roster changes are now, I looked at it and go, that's really similar to what JUCO coaches have done for a really long time. And so they've got a really interesting skill set that all of a sudden feels way more applicable to Division I high-level football than it ever has in the past. Because I know we're talking a lot about, okay, well, maybe these NFL guys are coming down and doing this. And I think we will see some of that because that's a sexier hire than it is to hire a JUCO coach. But there's places where I think a JUCO coach might make the most sense. Like I gave the example off air. If Matt Campbell decided to leave Iowa State, if he finally thinks the grass is greener somewhere else and leaves that job, Iowa State's a really challenging football job.
Yeah,
always has been. They're in the Big 12, so out of power conference schools, they're at a little bit of a disadvantage because they're not Big 10 or SEC. And within the Big 10 or within the Big 12, they're still sort of at a resources deficit from a lot of schools for whether it's NIL money, whether it's facilities, whatever it is, right? Iowa State probably is never going to be in the top half of the best of the best. That's just not really how they operate as a program. So would it be crazy if you're Iowa State to call Scott Strohmeyer, who, by the way, is playing for a third straight national championship tonight, from Iowa Western and say, hey, you know how this works? You're used to and you gave some great examples, right? Because I was just thinking of roster construction. You basically have to remake the roster every year in JUCO, right? You have some guys they're going to hold over, but you're starting from scratch almost every year. But then you brought up, and you got to be able to get guys ready in a hurry.
Yeah.
You got to be able to.
And the hardest skill that junior college coaches manage, it's kind of why I used to admire the Boys Town job. You have to coach guys and gals whose goal it is
to not be there,
is to leave that place.
Yeah, 100%. And you're trying to help them. Right?
So it's just a unique skill set.
That's the really unique part about junior college coaches is they're not only okay with the fact that their guys don't actually want to be there, is they're actively trying to help them leave. And I wonder at a place, whether it's a harder power conference job or a group of 5 job or whatever you're looking at, that might be the easier way to go rather than trying to scratch and claw and do your best to try and hold on to these guys. Just accept that they're going to leave. Find the guys that are either overlooked or, had some late academic progress to get eligible
or just late bloomers.
Or late bloomers and say, hey, you can come here. We'll help you get to where you want to go. Mm-hmm. Because how is that really that much different than
in theory, not at all.
Well, it's certainly not any different in theory than JUCO, but really it's not even that much different than what Bill Belichick is saying as being an NFL factory.
No, I just said, and that's why the Belichick thing didn't surprise me. Because everybody's low-key trying to do it. He just put it in writing.
Yeah. He just said it out loud.
Again.
He just said it out loud.
For as inept as we thought Riley and that regime was, that's what he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what his pro background and the resources at Nebraska, that's where his mind went.
Mm-hmm.
Separate departments. Both thought about it. Hey, listen, I need to bolster. Not bolster.
What does bolster
I need
mean?
to beef up my recruiting
staff. And we're like, oh, he just doesn't like to recruit.
Yeah. That is what we said. I didn't even finish that, but that is what we said.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
He's a bad recruiter. He just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
That's what people said.
And so this isn't.
And maybe there was some truth to that, but
I would be surprised though with so much overlap and how you have to be more of a manager now than actually an X's and O's guy. Why the question that was asked to Tomlin, because I can't remember what a job it was associated with, but my man literally walked off the podium and he's like, listen, I don't talk in extremes. I don't like to use the word never.
Get a word.
Never.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was it the I don't know. That wasn't the Chargers. Michigan. It was somebody. And but now that might not be such a bad thing. And it's Orlovsky's fault
with the Vrabel stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Why would Vrabel pick to go back to the Ohio State except for it's a lot of what his skill set?
Yeah, he feels like he's well equipped for it.
Yeah.
And he's going to be well compensated for it.
And he can have his departments and still have autonomy.
And he cares about Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like, that's obviously a place he cares about. I don't think he would take any other college job. But you look at his...
So who's hiring Pete Carroll next?
Pete Carroll's a really interesting one.
Pete Carroll should have a job.
You think he should have a college job?
Yeah. Pete Carroll would thrive in college right now.
I agree. I think you could go and get Pete Carroll, and you'd be in great shape. I probably would have hired Pete Carroll before I hired Bill Belichick.
With you.
Because he's got a little bit more of that youthful exuberance. And
I'm probably with you there.
Not that Bill Belichick isn't going to be successful. I have no idea. But he's got most of the same skill sets as Belichick, and he's got a little more of that. And he's got the college success behind it too, right? Like with Bill Belichick, you're taking a chance.
And now what Carroll's good at is not considered cheating. It's considered being good at your job.
Yeah, it's a prerequisite.
Yeah.
It's not cheating. It is maybe the most important part of the job now.
Joel brings up a good point.
What'd Joel say?
Bill Snyder ran K-State like a JUCO.
Yeah.
He sure did.
because he was just taking guys from JUCO
and getting them to buy in for. Yeah, he sure did.
K-State was like, okay, so the KJCC was first half of K-State, and then Kansas State was second half of K-State.
He told a fantastic story. He came to speak at the coaches clinic in Omaha, and he talked about how, because this was his vision, how he had to go almost door to door on campus to talk to the different educational departments on what the desired outcome was to get them to buy into his philosophy.
Yeah. Well, it's
just incredible.
Yeah.
He's very rigid, but I mean, you can see where that worked.
100%. And it's one of the only things that we saw Ron Prince try and do it a different way, and Bill Snyder had to come out of the woodwork and come out of retirement and fix it again. Now,
one of the few cases where a guy comes back and it works, at least in the short term.
Yeah, I mean, it worked temporarily with Mac Brown. We'll see what happens.
It actually did. I'm with you there.
Early it worked.
I'm with you.
I would say it's working with Rutgers. That's a hard job, but Shiano's getting things kind of going on the right track again. We'll see what happens with obviously Rich Rod and Scott Frost going back, trying to figure out if he can go back home again.
Terrible hire, though, as a DC, though.
Oh, yeah, with Alex Grinch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing out there.
I hope it doesn't come back to bite him.
That's a tough look. Alex Grinch has a lot on his resume that tells you not to hire that guy as a DC.
You see his matrix scores?
521st?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our friends Matrix Analytical have him ranked as the 521st best defensive
and
coordinator.
like a 52 overall. They don't recommend anybody below a 60 for a job.
Yeah. That's tough. That is tough out there.
We need to get to our bet on it.
Real quick here, we've got Cal and UNLV tonight in the bowl game.
UNLV.
UNLV's -3. Western Kentucky, James Madison, JMU, -7.5.
Not sure, but I got 2 for you.
What do we got?
Take Creighton and Virginia.
Creighton and Virginia tonight.
The
Isaac Trout special. Let's bet on it. Brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Andy Kendeigh from KETV. AK, what's going on?
Good morning. Morning, boys.
How we doing?
Mr. Volleyball now. Mr. Volleyball.
Mr. Volleyball.
How about your flexibility, AK?
I mean, geez, my goodness. Yesterday was one of the days of all days. They'll wake up call 3 a.m. Nobody's going to complain. Nobody cares. I know. Nobody cares. But it was a fun day. I'll tell you what. It was. This place is pretty cool, though. I mean, the setup here in Louisville is pretty cool. I've never been. This first trip. And, man, they do it right. This arena, this KFC Yum Center, it's going to hold like 22,000. This place is really built for an event like this. And so today's a big practice day and interviews and all this stuff. So it's going to be a heck of a setup here. And you couldn't script a better Final Four in terms of what you were hoping for. All the top seeds making it first time in 16 years. So it's going to be a fun deal.
Yeah, it's such a big deal. Lauren is like, yeah, we may or may not get to pregame breakdowns for football. Like, I don't know if I'll be back in town. Isn't that hilarious?
You know what? We will get to the pregame breakdowns for football. It's just going to we just delay it for a week. How about that?
But
it is pretty interesting. Isn't it interesting, though, fellas? Like, I have been so, volleyball, it's amazing how big of a deal the volleyball is in this state. And not just Nebraska. Obviously, with Creighton's run and sending Cecilia out to State College, which was great. I mean, it is interesting. It's like, wait, Nebraska added a couple guys to their team, and a couple guys left Nebraska's team, and it's just interesting how the pecking order kind of shifts and shuffles depending on the how close of in terms of when the game is played. So since Nebraska plays tomorrow, I mean, this is the volleyball taking center stage right now.
Yeah, I mean, AK, you did say you couldn't ask for a better Final Four. I would have maybe asked for a Creighton-Nebraska matchup tonight or this weekend, but so I could ask for maybe a little bit better Final Four.
Sure. I was talking from a network perspective. We actually got to talk to Katie George and Courtney Pyle, who's calling the matches for ESPN, and they were raving. So they did say what an awesome job that Creighton did at Penn State. Man, what a great season that Coach Booth, and the Blue Jays had this year. But in terms of what nationally they could ask for, this is probably what they were looking for with all top seeds here. And really, depending on who shows up and performs, it's anybody's. It's about, you can make an argument for all 4 teams winning this, and especially because probably the fourth of the 4 teams is Louisville, and they have home court advantage.
So it's interesting, AK, because you know me, I'll talk about volleyball any chance I get. So I'm glad when it's this time of the year when everybody will acquiesce. But with the 4 1 seeds and the way the sport's moving, then you turn around and you look at the volleyball portal. Are you more or less surprised that the 1 seeds held with almost every storyline of all these teams? It's, such and such who came over from such and such school, right? Like, it is very fluid in volleyball. Should we expect ones, or because there is such mobility, it should be a little more spread out?
Well, I think you're going to see it going to be in years to come. It's going to be a little more spread out. That's what I think we have to appreciate, what not just Nebraska is doing, what Pitt is doing, you know, like what they've been able to do over the last couple of years to bring their team back. Now, you know, that's going to be a challenge for, but we saw, you know, the effects of the portal. Just, you don't even have to go far. You just look at the match Nebraska's playing with Caroline Jurevicius and Mendelson leaving Nebraska last year and then being key players for Penn State. They match up against each other. And, oh, by the way, Caroline Jurevicius in their meeting at State College, you know, one of the 2 losses for Nebraska this year, she had probably her best match of the year. So, you know, there's going to be some extra juice. But, you know, depending on how colleges distribute their NIL, or not NIL, the money that they receive, the chunk, the 20+ million, how they distribute that throughout the sports, how much money goes to volleyball, in addition to the NIL, I think will really dictate who moves where. And I think Nebraska's pretty set up for that, because obviously you got the built-in fan base and, you know, the backing and the support. So I think Nebraska's pretty set up for this new age of mobility for the student athletes.
How cool was it? Not cool, but that's not even the right word. How John Cook-ish was it that he can roll with the times where he, during an interview about Taylor Landfair, can walk off and say, that's what she's paid to do? Did you ever think, like that, right? Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, I've watched him recruit, like I've watched him close for years. His evolution in terms of what it takes as a lifelong learner is nothing short of amazing.
I couldn't agree with you more, BB. And watching him last night, you know, they arrived, they were the last team. They had some delays getting out of Lincoln. They had every right to just be a little bit frustrated, but God, the joy on his face, the evolution of how he's evolved. I mean, you know, and you don't usually put Joy and John Cook together in the same sentence, you know, but he was all smiles, and I think he knows he's got a really, really good shot with this.
Oh, it gave him time to do more TikToks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's funny because we were talking about this last night. So, you know, the team arrives. It's like 10 o'clock, 10:30 Eastern time when they arrive, and he does a quick little scrum. And I asked him, I said, hey, are you a Muhammad Ali fan? Obviously, Muhammad Ali is a legendary boxer, and he's from Louisville. And so the museum is right down the street. And he's like, of course, he's the greatest. And I go, your kids, do the players know? And he was like, and he kind of rolled his eyes. He's like, they have no idea. But think about Muhammad Ali. You know, they talk about the ultimate TikToker. Imagine if TikTok was there when he was around. My goodness. But it's back to your point. John Cook, you know, just to see his evolution, to see what he, you know, if you had said 10 years ago he'd be making videos with his players, I think people would have thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and now he just rolls with it. He's evolved in such a. It's just really cool to watch him become the person and coach he has become.
He's doing dances, wearing cowboy hats. He's got the whole thing going on.
Yeah,
I like the fact he knows he can't dance, but will try to dance anyway. I think that's what.
Well, isn't that all bad?
I don't know. Lauren just has to be rolling her eyes. She's like,
oh my god,
whose dad is this?
Well, it's funny because I'm like, Lauren, how do you set this thing up on my phone? Because I can't really get to this app. So she's kind of like my adopted oldest daughter at this point. She helps me with technology.
So you had to download TikTok so you could watch John Cook dance on TikTok.
Absolutely. No doubt.
What you do to stay up on the news, AK. I appreciate it. What's your schedule like, guys? So you're going to hopefully be there through the 22nd, maybe 23rd, and then you going straight to New York? You coming home for a couple days? What's your plan?
Well, first, if should Nebraska make it to the Sunday, you know, the finals on ABC KETV, we're going to have a pregame show when Nebraska makes it to Sunday, I should say. So 1:30 there, and then we get home 23rd, home to celebrate Christmas. We fly out the 26th to New York. So
you at least get a couple of days.
Pivot. Yep, we'll get about 48 hours at home. They'll be good. It'll be good. My poor kids from college they're already home. They're like, Dad, when are you coming home? I'm like, I'll see you the Thursday. I'll maybe a little bit on Christmas.
So that's the girl dad in you, though, because you have to like that. You know what I mean? I watch you guys interact and kind of tight-knit as a family. Like, you're okay with Nebraska not having any media coverage in New York till after Christmas anyway, right?
Oh, I am 100%. Right now, don't get me wrong, BB. don't get me wrong. The kids, they tried to lean on Dad, like, can't we go with you to New York? And I said, yeah. Let me check the plane. Said, nope. We're gonna have you guys.
So it's a few less cheeseburgers, isn't it?
That's exactly right. Hey, they're already juiced up for Christmas Eve McDonald's cheeseburgers. It's Kendeigh tradition like no other.
So has the number of cheeseburgers lessened or grown with age?
Well, it's interesting. It started as full meals. Now it's just kind of it's almost an appetizer, a side dish. But yes, it's probably
it's a pregame.
Probably the number of cheeseburgers has probably grown,
Yeah.
even though we shouldn't be eating as many. But yes, it's probably grown over the years. But we actually make sure that the McDonald's is open on Christmas Eve and make sure we get there before it closes. And yeah, it is a weird tradition that's 50 years plus, and it will continue this year. And I'll make sure to tweet it. It's my favorite tweet of the year.
Is that so? You just go to the one on 132nd, right?
Oh yeah, right by the Walgreens.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest parking lot.
The worst.
That's the worst.
Yeah, the worst.
It's like you get your order and you're ready to leave, and you almost get sideswiped by
Yeah.
people coming back.
You're like, why am I in the Jiffy Lube parking lot now? What happened?
Exactly, 100%. You guys know it.
Oh yeah, all too well.
I just can't figure out why not a single Target in Omaha can have a normal parking lot. The one on 120th L is total garbage. The one over 132nd and Maple is total garbage. The one on
68th you can't even access from Maple. You have to come in along 168th.
Yeah, it's a mess. The most normal one is 180th and Center, and that one's still not great. Like, what are we like? Is Target just actively trying to make it harder to get to their stores?
They just make you want to work for it. And once you're there, then finding a parking spot. I went the other day. I was like, holy cow. Retail is back.
I mean, going to Target like less than 2 weeks before Christmas, you're taking your life in your hands.
100%.
I know. It's like you better put your mouthpiece in and your helmet.
Why don't you go to the outlet mall too, you psycho?
I know. Exactly. Here's an idea. How about the day before Thanksgiving, try Baker's? And that's you're on your own.
AK, how long before we actually talk BC versus Nebraska?
Great question. I think people will sprinkle them in as we go, but I think it will really kick up, Friday, Saturday, and then obviously next week. It really will ramp up, and I'll be fascinated to see. One of the great storylines is what's this defense going to look like?
Yeah.
I mean, what and then who's going to run the ball, and how's the offense going to evolve into the month under Dana Holgorsen? I think it's going to be a fascinating game from a Nebraska perspective.
AK, make sure you get out there early. They might have you run the ball if you get there in time.
I'm talking about DV. Get DV out there.
Fudge. We're trying to win, AK.
Andy, we appreciate it as always. Happy holidays. Have a good little trip.
Thanks, fellas. Be good.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. That's Hurrdat Sports Radio. We'll be back tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.